bukan secara nasionalisme saja, tapi dalam hal bagaimana kita membangun, menggerakkan bangsa kita ke arah kemakmuran bersama berpusat pada nilai kita, tapi juga bisa bayangkan sudah kita bisa melakukan bersama-sama. Karena itu saya mengucapkan selamat telah menyelenggarakan KTT yang sangat penting ini, KTT virtual ini. Saya juga sangat berterima kasih untuk pekerjaan yang sudah dilakukan wilayah Asia Pasifik penting, dan saya sangat terdorong bahwa Asia Pasifik jika ketua dari KTT Internasional Dewan KTT Internasional Bermain Asia Pasifik dan para kepala negara dan pemerintahan yang terhormat, ibu-ibu negara dan juga pemimpin para pemimpin dari internasional, para pemimpin dari seluruhnya mewakili atas nama negara ini adalah saudara semua dalam International Summit Council for Peace di sini di Asia Pasifik, wilayah Asia Pasifik. Dibentuk oleh 5 prinsip universal. Pertama itu adalah bahwa kita semua adalah keluarga, satu keluarga manusia yang diciptakan oleh Allah. Yang kedua adalah bahwa kualitas yang terkini dari manusia adalah spiritual dan hara-hara. Ketiga bahwa keluarga itu adalah tempat di mana belajar tentang baik-baik kegiatan umum. Tempat dengan hidup bersama-sama, kita mengatasi egosentris kita dan kita adalah perdamaian yang abadi menuntut kita untuk menyelesaikan akar dari konflik. Selama 2 tahun belakangan kita telah menggerakkan 3 KTT di Asia Pasifik. Tahun 2018 di Kathmandu, Nepal, dengan undangan dari Perdana Menteri KP Oli, lebih dari 1.500 peserta termasuk 7 kepala negara dan pemerintahan, juga bersama-sama dengan delegasi 500 delegasi internasional dari 45 negara menghadiri KTT Asia Pasifik pertama ini. 1 tahun kemudian pada bulan November tahun 2019, KTT yang kedua di Asia Pasifik, wilayah Asia Pasifik ini diselenggarakan di Phnom Penh, Kamboja. Yang mulia Hun Sen untuk menyelenggarakan KTT dalam staf perdamaiannya, kantor resmi dari Perdana Menteri, dan hadir juga bersama-sama dengan dua wakil presiden yang aktif, satu ketua DPR dan wakil ketua DPR, dan juga penerima penghargaan Nobel, dan 9 mantan kepala negara dan pemerintahan sama-sama dengan 1.200 delegasi dari negara. 1 bulan kemudian, summit ketiga diselenggarakan di Pulau yang indah. Nyonya Dewi Minasau dan juga kantor dari presiden turut menyelenggarakan KTT dari ibu negara di Pulau dan berasa untuk memiliki 5 negara, 5 ibu negara yang aktif dan juga yang sudah menjabat bersama dengan peserta atau delegasi lokal dan delegasi luar negeri bersama-sama. Sama halnya dengan KTT telah diselenggarakan di Afrika, Eropa, Amerika Utara dan Selatan, demikian juga di Jepang dan Korea. Di samping itu, IPF telah melakukan rangkaian kegiatan KTT dunia yang dilaksanakan setiap 2 tahun. Yang paling belakangan terjadi adalah pada tahun 2020 bulan Februari di Seoul, Korea. Telah lebih dari 10.000 peserta, termasuk 2.800 delegasi internasional dari 110 negara. IPF telah memberikan penghargaan, merasa terhormat telah menyelenggarakan 120 untuk melayani 120 kepala negara dan pemerintahan, baik yang aktif maupun yang sudah menjabat. Virtual adalah Bali dan berbagi sejuta pasca independensi bersama dengan untuk membangun kembali dan demokrasi bangsa kita membutuhkan nilai-nilai universal. Bagaimana masyarakat bisa makmur, bahkan bisa bertahan tanpa nilai-nilai sama. Sejujurnya, kurangnya nilai-nilai universal ini lebih berbahaya daripada virus corona. Karena tidak ada nilai universal yang karena tidak adanya nilai-nilai universal ini sehingga penyakit baru bisa berkembang dengan melibatkan kematian dan kehancuran. Jadi bukannya bekerja sama dan bangsa-bangsa ini justru bersaing satu dengan yang lain sebagai musuh, bukannya sebagai teman. Kofi Annan, sekjen dari PBB tahun 2006 menuntut nilai universal itu lebih sangat dibutuhkan di dalam era globalisasi lebih daripada sebelumnya. Dalam buku yang baru diluncurkan, buku tentang gaya hidup modern, Mother of Peace, beliau berbicara tentang impian Tuhan yang menciptakan dunia ini, berkata bahwa orang-orang itu gagal menciptakan bertumbuh menjadi dewasa, berkeluarga, berkat dari surga, juga menjadi orang puas di atas anak-anak mereka. Dengan kata lain, keluarga ini adalah cetak biru dari Tuhan untuk ciptaan. Nilai-nilai yang kekal sifatnya itu bisa disebutkan dalam keluarga. Keluarga adalah asal-usul dari nilai-nilai universal. Saya ingin dorong Anda semua berada dalam wawasan diri keluarga dalam topik keluarga. Sekali lagi ucapkan saya dalam karena saudara mengambil waktu dan jadwal di dalam jadwal yang sangat padat terdiri KTT virtual ini. Terima kasih Tuhan memberkati kita semua dan bangsa Anda. Pada titik ini, saya akan memanggil satu bicara utama kita dan untuk memulainya mari kita dengarkan pesan khusus dari yang mulia Raja Paksa dari Republik Demokratis Sosial Sri Lanka. Ini adalah sebuah perbuatan bahwa saya bisa jadi bagian senang saya ingin bagi internasional sebagaimana kita tahu bahwa berusaha untuk mencari meraba-raba tentang kehancuran yang tidak disangka-sangka, tidak dikira-kira dari virus yang begitu liar yang bisa membuat yang menyebar begitu cepatnya dan telah telah melintasi seluruh masalah sistem kesehatan dari publik global, mengatasi melampaui limit atau batas-batas kemampuan kita. Jadi virus ini tidak mengenal pembatasan dan saya percaya bahwa kita bisa mengatasi situasi yang sulit dari yang dengan menerima bahwa ini sebuah perang atau pertikaian umum yang dihadapi oleh manusia dan mengarahkan upaya kita untuk mengalahkan dan dengan cara yang bersatu. Sejauh ini Sri Lanka peduli bahwa sejauh yang di Sri Lanka saya bersenang untuk membagi apa yang dunia kepada dunia bahwa tingkatan yang dari upaya yang telah diupayakan untuk membangun sistem kesehatan dan untuk menjaga COVID-19 ini dari penyebaran ini. Ukuran dan inisiatif yang telah dilakukan untuk mengatasi virus bahwa ini efektif dan juga menghasilkan buah. Karena kita bisa sementara kita berusaha untuk menyingkirkan dari pandemi ini, prioritas utama yang segalanya adalah waktu dengan terus mulai memikirkan tentang jalan untuk menyelesaikan memulihkan pasca COVID-19. Sebagaimana ini menjadi tugas kita semua, saya percaya bahwa kita harus mengambil keuntungan dari pandemi, bersikap dalam norma-norma sosial dan juga bersama-sama memberikan insentif bagi kita. Kecuali kalau kita masih bersifat individualistik, maka masyarakat ini kita tidak percaya dari aksi-aksi kita karena itu mengingatkan kita bahwa saling terkait dengan dalam dunia yang kita jalani ini. Dan kita bisa membangun sebuah dunia yang penuh damai, yang harmonis dan makmur. Itu sudah krisis yang dihadapi. Membangun kembali dan harus memberikan posisi secara kira-kira dengan negara-negara yang dapat menunjukkan solidaritas terhadap komunitas yang rawan terhadap serangan ini dan juga bangsa yang rawan terhadap ini. Kita perlu bergerak melewati daya pikir kita yang singkat. Dan karena itu yang bisa terima kasih kepada WWF dan Summit ISCC untuk mengundang kami. Berikut saya akan menyambut Bapak Nikoto, Presiden yang terlibat dari tahun 2003 sampai 2016, demikian juga penerima Sanatis Prize untuk menyampaikan pesannya. Biarlah saya mulai dengan salam yang hangat dari Pasifik. Itu saja pertanyaan yang ditanyakan kepada kita. Jawab kegiatan ini dan pelajaran apa yang dapat kita tarik dari pandemi pasca COVID-19 pandemi ini. Mari saya mulai dengan mungkin melalui skenario dari kegiatan yang terjadi pada waktu pandemi sebelum itu dan sebelum itu dideklarasikan sebagai pandemi global dan sesudah ini. Kita tahu dengan baik di mana asalnya. Kita tahu bahwa betapa cepatnya virus ini menyebar dan memberikan dampak kepada banyak negara. Banyak dari negara-negara berkembang dan demikian juga dari negara yang asalnya Cina, dari Korea ke Asia, Eropa, Amerika Serikat, termasuk negara-negara yang paling canggih yang dapat berkembang di area di wilayah Pasifik. Kami juga menderita karena tidak ada penerbangan dan juga industri turis yang semakin menderita. Banyak orang yang telah menderita karena dampak ini dan di kota kecil juga industri turisme, industri wisata juga mengalami kesulitan. Kami telah kehilangan pekerjaan, mereka juga yang terlibat di dalam industri sebenarnya mereka yang terlibat secara langsung. Jadi sebagai komunitas global kita harus melihat betapa rawannya hal ini dan kita terpapar di terhadap infeksi ini. Jadi kalau kita terus menurunkan, kalau kita renungkan bagaimana kita bisa menghindarinya, bagaimana kita bisa urusan dengannya, mengatasinya, dan saya telah membaca banyak komentar dari salah satu kepala dari agensi PBB yang akomodir sebagai berikut. COVID-19 pandemi ini sama seperti api dari hubungan sehari-hari kita dan yang dapat diperbandingkan dengan apa yang kita hadapi, misalnya seperti perubahan tantangan dari perubahan iklim dan demikian juga dan seterusnya. Dan pada momen ini kita di waktu di mana kita dihadapi oleh banyak tantangan dengan konflik yang secara berlangsung di perbatasan Cina dan India, dan apa juga yang terjadi di Laut Cina Selatan, dan juga konflik yang berpotensi terjadi di Timur Tengah. Bersama-sama kita melihat bahwa tantangan-tantangan yang terjadi di perubahan iklim, dan juga saya telah diminta di dalam beberapa kegiatan, apakah perubahan iklim ini dapat memberikan uh, tantangan mengatasi apa yang kita lihat kita hadapi di 2019. Pelajaran yang kita belajar lihat dari hal ini tergantung dari bagaimana kita mengalami, dan kita memaparkan, menentukan kerawanan ini tepat kita rawan, dan dunia kita ini sangat rawan, dan bagaimana bagaimana dengan periode lockdown, bagaimana dunia kita bisa mengatasi untuk mengetahuinya, dan bagaimana kita, apakah kita bisa melakukan sesuatu yang luas berbeda dari ekspektasi kita. Tapi saya memikirkan tadi bahwa di atas semuanya kita menghadapi tantangan bersama. COVID-19 pandemi COVID-19 ini adalah sesuatu yang diharapkan di masa tidak jauh dari sekarang dapat diidentifikasi dan kami berharap agar dalam jangka panjang itu kita bisa mengatasinya. Jadi apapun yang kita lakukan, kita berusaha untuk jadi satu waktu kita akan akhir bukannya mencuci kita, tapi memikirkan dunia terlebihnya. Dan di dalam tantangan perubahan iklim, kita memiliki mereka yang terus mengejar mereka di dalam hal menimbun kekayaan mereka, dan mereka percaya bahwa hal itu bisa memberikan mereka kekuatan, bisa memberikan apa yang mereka ingin untuk menjadi unggul. Tapi dalam prosesnya kita sebenarnya membawa diri kita kepada kehancuran. Jadi pelajaran yang kita percaya kita bisa ambil, itu kita harus belajar dari pandemi ini betapa kita ini sangat rawan, dan dunia juga kita sangat rawan. Sekarang kita harus belajar hidup dalam kerukunan, bukan hanya dengan satu dengan yang lain, tapi juga dengan alam, dan dengan teknologi. Kadang-kadang kita diberikan dan dengan teknologi kadang memberikan kesombongan, dan kita percaya bahwa kita bisa mengatasi alam kita. Sekali lagi saya bertanya diri kita, dan pertanyaan yang kita alami selama pandemi ini, selama pembatasan dan periode lockdown. Tapi saya yakin kita semua mengalaminya. Tapi apa pengalaman kita? Apa pelajaran kita? Saya yakin semuanya sama seperti saya. Kita melalui proses yang sama, dan juga mencari jiwa dari apa yang sangat penting pada kita. Banyak dari kita telah terisolasi dari keluarga kita, dan juga saya salah satu dari Fiji yang terjebak di Fiji karena saya tidak bisa melakukan perjalanan pulang. Saya telah berada di sini untuk beberapa bulan, dan jadi kita mulai periode yang lama ini, dan mulai bertanya kepada diri kita, apa yang penting sebenarnya? Nilai apa yang kita hargai? Saya mulai berpikir dalam periode lockdown telah membuat periode ini menjadi sebagai periode pembaruan spiritual rohani kita, dan juga banyak dari diri kita. Kita mulai bertanya dari diri kita hal-hal fundamental, yang hal-hal moral yang bersifat fundamental, dan saya berharap agar kita bisa diperbarui lagi. Ya, dengan perkataan ini saya lakukan yang terbaik dalam upaya kita, mau kita bisa memberikan kontribusi yang baik. Dan berikut mari kita sambut yang mulia Esa Hesanot, presiden dari Republik Marshall Island dari 2000 tahun 2000 hingga 2008 sebagai juga co-chair dari International Association of Parliamentarians for Peace Oceania untuk menyampaikan pidato utamanya. Yang mulia Bapak Saudara-saudari, saya berbicara dari negara yang sangat saya kasihi di Marshall Island. Tahun yang terbaik telah menjadi periode transformasi dalam sejarah Marshall Island. Kepulauan Marshall, orang-orang suku asli telah dikuasai oleh negara-negara asing, termasuk Jerman, Jepang, dan Amerika Serikat. Pemerintah imperial dari Jepang telah menduduki kepulauan kami dengan persetujuan dari Liga Bangsa-Bangsa hingga tahun 1945. Dan setelah perang dunia kedua, Amerika Serikat yang mengendalikan kepulauan kami sebagai bagian dari wilayah Amerika Serikat di Pulau Pasifik. Administrasi Amerika Serikat dari kepulauan yang dihentikan pada tahun 1947, di mana kepulauan ini merdeka secara sepenuh dan memiliki hubungan bebas dengan Amerika Serikat. Selama tahun 1946 hingga tahun 1948, Amerika Serikat mendonasikan 68 pabrik nuklir yang menyebarkan bahan-bahan radioaktif kepada seluruh manusia dan wilayah dan laut-laut di sekitarnya. Hingga saat ini hasilnya telah diuji bahwa orang-orang Marshall telah menderita banyak kasus-kasus tiroid, kanker gondok. Demikian juga karena radiasi yang dapat menyebabkan penyakit. Banyak orang telah menderita dan juga kelahiran yang perubahan-perubahan yang cacat. Dan hingga hari ini bangsa Marshall ini telah direlokasi karena kontaminasi area radioaktif di tanah mereka. Kita tahu bahwa para penggila nuklir di Pasifik, kami bangsa Marshall percaya bahwa Amerika Serikat dan PBB dan komunitas dunia terus memangku atau memikul beban moral dan kewajiban legal untuk menghadapi isu-isu nuklir ini dari yang terus dihadapi oleh Marshall Island dan terus berakibat pada konsekuensi dari uji nuklir yang terjadi pada tahun 1950. Karena ini adalah sebuah warisan yang buruk bahwa uji coba cukup perubahan iklim yang dapat menghancurkan, termasuk khususnya meningkatnya permukaan air. Marshall Island satu dari titik terendah di bumi. Jika laut terus meningkat, maka kepulauan ini akan berada di bawah laut kurang dari 80 tahun. Pemerintahan Marshall Island sedang berusaha di badan internasional dalam isu lingkungan dan persoalan global yang membutuhkan solusi global. Dalam kaitan dengan hal ini, banyak yang terjadi, namun lebih banyak lagi yang bisa terjadi untuk kita selesaikan dari kehancuran dari perubahan iklim dan ragam persoalan. Dan ini merupakan sebuah awal yang baik. Hari ini saya menghargai undangan untuk bicara sebagai bagian dari Peace UPM, khususnya bagaimana kita membangun kembali dan masyarakat di dunia. COVID-19 ini adalah sebuah pandemi yang buruk, yang dimana dunia kita tidak siap menghadapinya. Bahkan dengan semua zaman modern yang sekarang ini, teknologi modern sekali dalam 1 tahun. kita masih belum memiliki vaksin untuk menyembuhkan. Ini adalah kondisi yang dapat memberikan dampak bagi semua kehidupan manusia di dalam banyak sektor dan peradaban kita. Satu hal yang pasti bahwa dunia kita tidak akan bersama lagi sesudah COVID-19. Dan saya percaya bahwa ini adalah panggilan bagi setiap bangsa untuk bersama-sama bersatu, bekerja sama untuk menemukan solusi terhadap problem yang sama yang kita hadapi. Sekali untuk selamanya bangsa-bangsa dunia harus menyampingkan perbedaan geopolitik dan teologis dan menemukan sasaran yang umum di dalam agar kita dapat menyelesaikan pandemi ini. Hal ini bisa menjadi kesempatan emas bagi kita, bagi negara-negara yang kaya untuk menyediakan dukungan teknologi dan finansial untuk organisasi internasional seperti WHO melanjutkan kasus-kasus untuk menyelesaikan kasus seperti COVID-19 dapat menyelamatkan manusia di negara. Terima kasih atas kesempatan ini. Harap kita semua bisa sehat. Terima kasih. Terima kasih yang mulia. Berikut mari kita sambut hormat Chandra Terendas Bakar mantan Wakil Perdana Menteri dari Mongolia menyampaikan bersama-sama. Saudara-saudara dan rekan-rekan, biarlah saya membuka dan menyelenggara hari-hari kegiatan konferensi internasional hari ini, dan saya mendedikasikan ini untuk dunia. Saya ucapkan ucapan dari dalam semua partisipasi dan kesempatan bagi saya untuk berkonsultasi. Pada akhirnya, akhir dari tahun lalu, COVID-19 pandemi ini mulai menyebar seluruh dunia dan telah diklaim bahwa ratusan bahkan ribuan manusia orang yang telah menjadi korban dari pandemi, dan ini bisa bahkan memberikan dampak kepada jutaan orang di seluruh dunia. Sekarang ini situasi menjadi semakin buruk di Mongolia, di Mongolia. Situasi di Mongolia ini semakin tenang. Kami berhasil untuk mengatasi penyebaran dari virus corona dan telah mengisolasi lebih dari 200 orang yang masuk ke negeri Mongolia dengan dan pada akhirnya mereka sudah bisa disembuhkan. COVID-19, epidemi COVID-19 sama terhadap negara penghasilan, gaji, dan juga beberapa negara dan juga berada di beberapa negara tanpa rumah, tanpa tempat berteduh, dan mereka berminta untuk mereka dibawa pulang. Pada waktu yang sama, kepemimpinan yang baru di Mongolia ini telah dikritisi bahwa ancaman secara birokrasi dari warga negara dan dari dapat membawa mereka pulang. Namun sebaliknya mereka bersiap untuk menyerayakan festival nasional nada yang dapat mengambil banyak anggaran dari pembayar pajak Mongolia. Hari ini COVID-19 epidemik telah menjadi musuh nomor 1 dari seluruh umat manusia. Penyakit ini terus-menerus bergerak dan menjadi ancaman terhadap seluruh umat manusia di seluruh dunia, membunuh ribuan dan ribuan orang untuk merayakan lokasi geografi, etnis kita, agama, bahkan kondisi-kondisi materi. Masa yang akan datang, hal ini dapat membawa kita pada krisis ekonomi dan pengangguran, kemiskinan yang dapat membuat dunia ini berisiko mengalami kekurangan makanan, juga kekacauan pada keseimbangan geopolitik global dan juga perubahan-perubahan negatif di dalam hubungan internasional dan juga negara-negara di seluruh dunia. Singkatnya, waktu telah datang bagi kita untuk menjawab terhadap desakan-desakan ini di seluruh dunia. Kita harus menarik kesimpulan tentang situasi kita pada saat ini dengan berkembangnya COVID-19 dan mengambil keputusan sebagai langkah di dalam kebijakan-kebijakan menjaga perdamaian dan politik dan ekonomi global. Kami memulai untuk membuat perubahan pada politik global mulai dari Mongolia. Oleh karena itu kami mendesak setiap orang, setiap negara perlu untuk meningkatkan biaya atau alokasi, menggandakan untuk mencegah menyebarnya epidemik dan juga penyakit-penyakit di luar yang berbahaya bagi manusia seperti flu burung, kanker, gastrointestinal dan juga penyakit-penyakit yang menyerang pembuluh darah. Pada waktu yang bersama ini penting bagi kita untuk meningkatkan secara radikal level dari pemasukan atau gaji dari para pejabat pegawai-pegawai medis dan juga meningkatkan biaya untuk penelitian dan pengembangan agar kita dapat mengidentifikasi vaksin dan juga pengobatan yang baru. Lebih daripada itu, setiap negara, termasuk Amerika Serikat, Rusia, dan China, harus mengurangi pengeluaran-pengeluaran untuk militer dan menghabiskan uang untuk kesehatan bagi masyarakat dan juga meningkatkan perawatan kesehatan secara radikal dan menentukan standar-standar kebersihan yang baru dan juga memberikan persyaratan-persyaratan epidemiologi dan membawa kerjasama internasional pada tingkatan yang baru. Ada kalkulasi, ada perhitungan untuk mengurangi biaya untuk militer di seluruh negara yang dapat mencapai angka 5-10%. Dan sebaliknya dapat dialokasikan untuk kesehatan yang dapat membantu menyelesaikan persoalan pengangguran, kemiskinan, dan juga memulihkan ekonomi di seluruh dunia. Pada titik ini, setiap warga masyarakat, pemerintah, dan seluruh media di seluruh dunia harus bergabung dalam gelombang inisiatif perdamaian dan bersama untuk berjuang dalam persoalan global. Kami mendesak PBB untuk secepatnya menyelenggarakan sesi yang luar biasa ini dari Dewan Keamanan untuk membahas isu global ini. Kami ingin agar inisiatif ini dapat didukung oleh konferensi internasional dari perdamaian dunia untuk dipersembahkan kepada PBB dan juga organisasi internasional lainnya. Opini kami adalah satu cara untuk menyelesaikan krisis ekonomi global itu adalah dengan membuat hubungan ekonomi global yang merata dan yang manusiawi. Penting bagi kita untuk mendorong melindungi investasi dan juga perkembangan perdagangan dan juga pelayanan dan memfasilitasi pelayanan pajak dan juga memperkenalkan pelayanan perdagangan online. Demikian juga mengurangi taks di dalam perdagangan internasional dan di dalam masa tidak jauh dari sekarang pergerakan populasi dan wisata dibatasi, namun faktor ekonomi kebijakan ekonomi dari negara-negara di dunia harus menjadi sasaran untuk mendukung perdagangan internasional. Mongolia berkomitmen untuk mempromosikan makanan organik di pasar internasional dan untuk memastikan keamanan makanan, populasi dari keamanan makanan dan untuk membantu meningkatkan imunitas manusia, orang-orang, dan menolak pembatasan secara genetik dan juga produk-produk yang mengandung kimia. Bersama kita bisa menghadapi ini dan tahun 2020 dilokasikan sebagai tahun pengamanan makan. Terima kasih untuk
the Vice President of the Federal Democratic Republic of Nepal from 2008 to 2015, as well as
Parmanan Jha, Wakil Presiden dari Republik Federal Demokratis Nepal tahun 2018 untuk menyampaikan pesannya. Bapak Ketua yang terhormat, dan juga Ketua dari SCP, terima kasih buat undangan untuk berbicara. Saya sangat terima kasih dari rangkaian KTT perdamaian ini dengan tema membangun kembali dan memperbarui bangsa kita pasca COVID-19, dunia, interdependensi, kemakmuran bersama, dan nilai-nilai universal. Saya telah berpartisipasi dalam beberapa konferensi internasional dan regional yang diselenggarakan oleh Universitas Indonesia dengan tema dan berbagai tema, dan saya ingin memuji Madirmu telah mendemonstrasikan kepemimpinan dengan hati ibu di dalam menghadapi tantangan kritis pada zaman kita ini. Dalam hal ini, upaya Madirmu dan inisiatifnya untuk mengatasi tantangan yang dihasilkan oleh COVID-19 ini sangat dihargai dengan tinggi. Saya berharap untuk berbicara tentang COVID-19 ini dari sudut pandang kesehatan dan ekonomi dalam webinar yang singkat ini. Sebagaimana saya percaya diri bahwa para otoritas yang terkait dan juga eksekutif, kepala-kepala eksekutif di negara-negara kita telah melakukan tugas mereka dengan bertanggung jawab. Saya ingin menyirati ingin menekankan dan berbicara tentang krisis yang berlaku sekarang dari sudut pandang humanitarian. Secepatnya, cepat atau lambat kita akan mengatasi musuh yang tidak kelihatan, kita tidak kelihatan ini. Tapi pertanyaan yang nyata itu, pernyataan itu adalah bagaimana kita bisa memulihkan dari kehilangan yang dahsyat ini yang telah terjadi karena krisis COVID-19. Ini bukan hanya tantangan bagi sistem kesehatan global, tapi juga sebuah ujian bagi kerohanian manusia. Jadi kita dari sebuah pemulihan harus dibawa kepada dunia yang secara merata dan lebih nyata dan untuk mengatasi krisis di masa datang. Dan kepemerataan ini dapat diwujudkan dengan esensi dari hanya jika kita merangkul seluruh dunia sebagai satu keluarga dan semua orang yang ada sebagai anggota dari keluarga yang saling berkaitan satu dengan yang lain. Pada waktu ini kita dunia kelihatannya seperti mengarah kepada nasionalisme ekstrim, dan virus corona telah mengajarkan kita tentang nilai pelajaran yang sangat berharga bahwa kita hanya bisa menjadi kuat kalau kita bersatu, dan kita akan menjadi lemah kalau kita tercerai-berai. Dan ini adalah kesempatan kita yang terbaik untuk bisa bertahan terhadap semua tantangan, kesulitan-kesulitan seperti hal ini tergantung dari bagaimana kita merangkul nilai-nilai universal dari umat manusia. Dan virus ini mengingatkan kita bahwa apapun jarak, geografi, dan batasan-batasan, kita semua terhubung satu dengan yang lain, dan kita saling tergantung satu dengan yang lain. Virus ini telah membuat kita menyadari bahwa kemampuan bersama ini adalah fungsi dari interdependensi, dan kita ada bersama-sama dalam kedamaian. Dan juga membangun kembali bangsa kita sesudah COVID-19 ini hanya mungkin terjadi dengan rekonsiliasi spiritual. Ini dari Universal Federation Father Moon telah sangat baik, dan juga dengan kearifan mereka sudah memberikan pencerahan bagi kita untuk secara aktif di dalam kearifan mereka yang unggul untuk beberapa dekade dari krisis-krisis yang kita hadapi. Ini adalah sebuah kesaksian yang kita bisa lihat yang relevan dengan pengajaran mereka di dalam dunia ini. Pada level mikro, pandemik ini mengingatkan kita tentang pentingnya keluarga kita dan bagaimana kebahagiaan sejati ini tergantung pada ikatan kita sebagai satu anggota keluarga. Dan satu penjuru dari warisan yang ada dalam itu adalah ketuhanan keluarga yang melampaui ras, kultur, nasionalisme, dominasi dan ideologi. Saya mengakhiri dan berterima kasih Father Moon dan Mother Moon dari Universitas Indonesia. Berikut mari kita sambut yang terhormat Madam Tuan Nepal, Perdana Menteri dari Republik Demokratik Federal Nepal dari 2009 sampai 2011. Demikian juga adalah pemimpin senior dari Partai Komunis Nepal untuk menyampaikan pidato utamanya. Yang terhormat Bapak Ketua, terima kasih untuk undangan kepada saya untuk berbicara dalam KTT internasional dari Dewan Dewan Perdamaian dari bidang ini. Saya memuji inisiatif dari UPF untuk menciptakan forum di mana semua pemimpin yang terhormat dari Asia Pasifik bisa bertukar gagasan, dan saya percaya bahwa ini adalah tempat di mana kita akan berbicara tentang membangun kembali dan memperbarui bangsa kita pasca COVID-19, dunia interdependensi bersama dan ini akan membantu kita menemukan cara untuk mengatasi yang berlaku sekarang dan krisis apapun yang akan kita hadapi kita mungkin akan hadapi COVID-19 pandemik ini telah menghancurkan banyak nyawa, dan ini adalah sebuah peristiwa dengan cara yang belum pernah terjadi sebelumnya bagi negara seperti Nepal yang telah pada akhirnya menemukan kecakapan yang kuat melalui dukungan yang konstan dari rakyatnya. COVID-19 pandemik ini telah menjadi obat pil yang keras untuk ditelan dan telah memberikan ancaman bagi visi kita untuk pertumbuhan ekonomi yang cepat yang dan kemakmuran bersama. Kalau kita ingat, kita menderita banyak bencana dengan proporsi yang serupa dalam bentuk seperti gempa bumi yang menghancurkan. Kalau kita lihat kembali pada tahun 2013 dan juga krisis sekarang ini telah membuat hal ini menjadi semakin buruk. Jadi saudara Anda bisa mengerti apa yang Nepal lalui hingga sekarang ini. Negara ini telah lockdown selama 3 bulan, dan pastinya ini bukan sesuatu yang mudah untuk kita bisa mempertahankan ekonomi, menjalankan ekonomi. Semua sementara itu kita berusaha untuk membuat semua orang tinggal di dalam upaya-upaya untuk menjaga masyarakat Nepal. Walaupun segala tantangan yang ada ini, pemerintah berusaha untuk membangun kemampuan terbaik mereka untuk mengatasi, untuk berurusan dengan krisis. Dan sejauh ini kita menjaga angka kematian yang signifikan, sangat rendah. Memang dalam situasi yang sulit ini kita akan saling merasa satu dengan yang lain, dan sejak dunia ini berlanjut di dalam kapal yang sama, khususnya dalam menghadapi ancaman COVID-19, dan lagi cara lain untuk melawan ancaman seksual ini kita bersama-sama berjuang. Pandemi tidak membedakan kelas, ras, atau etnis. Ini terlalu awal bagi kita untuk mengetahui dengan tepat betapa luas COVID-19 yang bahwa dunia COVID-19 ini akan menjadi sangat berbeda. Tapi satu hal yang pasti bahwa kita bereaksi terhadap krisis yang menjadi kunci dari faktor untuk membentuk masa depan dunia kita. Saya percaya bahwa kasih dan belas asih dan hormat dengan lain menjadi motor dari jalan universal. Perwujudan dari kebenaran yang bernilai, yang berharga dan sederhana ini akan menjadi kunci pertama untuk melangkah pada bagaimana kita pertama membangun bangsa kita sesudah COVID-19. Terima kasih banyak. Terima kasih yang mulia. Berikut, mari kita sambut yang terhormat Danny Philip, Perdana Menteri dari Solomon Island, dari tahun 2010 hingga 2011, utamanya. Halo Duni, untuk para peserta yang terhormat dari Dewan KTT Internasional untuk Perdamaian. Saya adalah yang terhormat Daniel Philip, dan saya adalah ketua dari penasihat kebijakan luar negeri dan sekretaris dari kantor Perdana Menteri di pemerintahan Solomon Island. Dalam kehidupan saya sebelumnya, saya adalah Perdana Menteri dan juga Perdana Menteri dari dan mantan Perdana Menteri dari negara ini. Salam dari Solomon Island. Ini adalah negara kecil yang terletak di bagian barat Pasifik, bagian timur dari Papua Nugini, dan punya populasi total lebih dari 600.000 orang. Jadi negara yang kecil, beberapa orang mengatakan bahwa ini adalah hal yang indah. Tapi menjadi kecil itu tidak mengucilkan kita dari fakta bahwa peranan ekonomi
total population just Prime Minister of just over 600,000 people, Solomon Islands. In my previous political life, being small, some people say is beautiful, former Prime Minister, but being small doesn't exclude us from the social and economic growth from Solomon Islands. This small island country is we are just as affected as you all are. Just east of our country is separated by huge distances, has a total population of just over 600,000 metropolitan countries, and therefore affected. Being small, some people say is few commodities, but being small doesn't exclude us. Notwithstanding from the social and economic growth, we love harmony and tranquility in this part of the world. We are just as affected. Our daily chores are not cumbersome. Our country is separated by simplicity in living. It is the order of large bodies of water. Geopolitics and strategic interests are far from therefore affected. All we hope for is a world without commodities, a world where the whole human race will share benefits. We love harmony and tranquility in this part of resources, and live in daily chores are not cumbersome, but simplicity in living offers security and benefits to all future generations. A world that looks beyond color and class. We only have one world in which we all live, not two. Let us share it and use it with respect and dignity to each environment, natural environment. Let us share and use the world sea lanes for the benefit of the whole human race, and not for military and strategic interests of a few. There are so many of us who are still listed as least developed countries, or LDCs, by the United Nations.
Memperbarui bangsa-bangsa pasca COVID-19, dunia interdependensi, pembangunan bersama dan nilai universal.
Minimize transmigration from poorer countries to the wealthy nations of the North.
Untuk dunia yang lebih rukun dan harmonis. Sekarang saya bahwa negara saya, Solomon Islands, salah satu negara kecil di dunia
any better for interdependence, for mutual prosperity, and for universal values. As small as we are ever wishful to share this world with all of you in bigger countries to live in peace and harmony. Right now, I am happy to announce that my country, Solomon Islands, is one of the very few countries in the world today that is yet to be affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. However, we will never become complacent or taking things for granted. Our government works on measures as if we already have the virus. We very much hope that we are able to maintain our COVID-free status as long as we can hold on. Most importantly, we want sustainable world peace, both during this pandemic and in post-pandemic period. We hope that through this web conference, we will be able
dari dunia kita
to
sekarang.
create
Terima kasih.
a global consciousness
Terima
and
kasih,
make lasting
terhormat.
impressions for all world
Berikut
leaders
mari kita
to
sambut
espouse peace espouse peace
Yang
and
terhormat
goodwill
Terima
to
kasih
all
Jos
mankind
Sokomano,
rather than hatred,
mantan
fear, and
Presiden dari
conflict.
Republik Vanuatu, demikian juga mantan Sekjen
Let us
dari
unbound
Komisi
in let peace abound
Pasifik
in our
Selatan
world
untuk
today.
menyampaikan
Thank you.
pidatonya.
Thank you, Your
Salam.
Excellency. Next, let us welcome His
Dunia kita
Excellency
sekarang menghadapi krisis
Eti
global,
George
yaitu
Sokomano,
virus
the
corona,
former President of the
virus
Republic
corona
of
pandemi
Vanuatu,
19, virus
as
corona
well
19
as
pandemi.
former Secretary General
Secara
of the
langsung
South
memberikan dampak
Pacific
bagi
Commission to
bagi
deliver
sebagian
his
besar bangsa di
keynote
dunia dan memberikan
address.
dampak secara langsung maupun tidak secara langsung bagi setiap semua bangsa-bangsa. Ini tentunya
Our world
menunjukkan kita
today
betapa
is
kita
facing a global
lebih
level
mudah
crisis.
diserang.
The coronavirus 19
Kita ini
pandemic
rentan terhadap
is
persoalan-persoalan
affecting most
hal
of the
seperti ini.
nations of the
Dan
world.
betapa kita saling terhubung dan satu dengan yang lain dan kita saling bergantung satu dengan yang lain. Beberapa negara yang
It is certainly
berdampak
showing us
itu
how vulnerable we
adalah
all
negara-negara
are
yang
and how
berkembang dan
interconnected and
juga
interdependent
negara-negara
we
yang
are. Some of the
yang
nations
kuat di dunia
affected
ini
most
seperti
are
China
the
dan
developed
Amerika Serikat.
and
Virus
most
corona
powerful
tidak
nations
membedakan antara mereka yang
in the
kuat
world, such as
militernya,
China
persenjataannya atau
and
ekonominya,
United
atau
States.
mereka yang
Coronavirus
lemah
does not distinguish
pemerintah
between those who have powerful
saling
armies
mengajarkan kita beberapa
or
hal yang sangat penting.
economies
Kita
and
semua saling
those who are
tergantung dan
relatively
semua
poor
ada
or
bersama-sama.
weak.
Akan memberikan dampak
Somehow it is teaching us some very
di
important
bangsa-bangsa
lessons. We are all interdependent. We are all
terhadap
in this
bangsa ini
together.
memberikan dampak kepada kita semua.
What
Kita harus bekerja
affects
bersama.
one of the nations
Percaya
impacts
bahwa
all of us. We have
orang
to
bisa
work
menyelesaikan
together. It is believed
bahwa
that
Vanuatu ini
people
telah
first
berdiri dari
settled
tahun
in the islands known as Vanuatu some 3,000 years ago. These islands were colonized in more history by both the British and the French in the 18th century. On 30 July
dan saya terhormat untuk
1980, the
ditunjuk sebagai
Republic of
Presiden pertama
Vanuatu
dari bangsa
was
ini.
created.
Kami
I
sekarang
was honored to be appointed as the
39
first
tahun
president of
merdeka
this
dan kami
nation.
akan merayakan
We are
40 tahun
now
dari
in our
kemerdekaan
39th
kami.
year of
Demikian Vanuatu ini
independence,
sangat
and we will
esensial,
be celebrating
bebas dari
our
secara
40th
esensial bebas
year
dari virus corona dan
anniversary
cuma
of independence.
dan
Although
kami
Vanuatu
ini
is
bukan orang asing
essentially
terhadap bencana.
coronavirus,
Vanuatu ini kadang
we are no
dikenal
strangers
sebagai
to
bangsa
disasters.
yang
Vanuatu is sometimes known as
rentan
a
terhadap
disaster-prone
bencana
nation
karena
because
kami secara
we have
kami
tropical
punya
cyclones,
siklon,
earthquakes,
siklon,
volcanic
tropis,
eruption,
gempa
and
bumi dan
even
juga
tsunamis.
gem-
For example, we experienced
volcano,
a
gunung-gunung
major
volcano dan juga bahkan tsunami.
category 5
Misalnya
tropical
kami mengalami
cyclone Harold only this
cyclone
year.
yang
It caused
termasuk pada kategori
widespread
besar,
destruction.
dan kemudian
So
cyclone
we
Harold
are families with responding to
tersebar
disasters,
luas
particularly natural
dan menghancurkan.
disasters.
Kami sebagai keluarga
One
merasa
thing it is for sure, the whole nation
secara
has to
partikular,
respond
secara
together.
khusus
The ones most
persoalan-persoalan
affected must be helped
bencana-bencana
by
alam.
those
Satu hal yang
less
pasti
affected.
bahwa
This
seluruh
is
bangsa
the
ini
best way to
menanggapi
recover
secara
code of
bersama-sama.
also
Yang
our
paling
moral
berdampak,
responsibility.
yang
A global crisis such as the
yang harus ditolong
coronavirus pandemic
bagi mereka
we
yang
are
kurang
facing
berdampak.
requires
Ini adalah cara terbaik untuk memulihkan. Itu
global
adalah tanggung jawab moral.
response.
Krisis global
We
seperti
can
virus corona
thank
pandemik ini
this virus in a
yang
way
kita
for
hadapi
showing
ini
us clearly that we are
respon
only
atau tindakan
families
global.
under God. We must respond as a family.
Bahwa gerakan
The
dorongan-dorongan
motto of
ini
the coat of arms of
adalah
Vanuatu
untuk
is
menunjukkan dengan jelas bahwa kita
with
satu
God
keluarga dalam
we
Tuhan.
stand.
Kita harus
The people of
berespon secara
Vanuatu
keluarga.
love God
Moto
and we know we need to believe,
dan kode-kode etis dari
trust and
Vanuatu
rely on God. I hope
dengan
that
Tuhan
among
kita
the
berdiri
many things we
bersama.
can
Dan
all
orang-orang
learn from
Vanuatu
our
yang mengasihi Tuhan
coronavirus
juga kita
crisis is that we must look to God and we must be
Son
humble
dan
to
kita
God.
tahu
We
kita perlu percaya
cannot
bahwa
do
kita percaya
without
dan
God.
Tuhan. Saya berharap bahwa
God's
sekarang
grace,
banyak hal yang kita
guidance,
pelajari
and
dari virus corona,
protections.
virus corona ini kita harus melihat kepada Tuhan dan kita
I
harus
want
rendah
to conclude by
merendahkan
thanking
hati
UPF
kepada Tuhan. Kita tidak
for
bisa
its
melakukan tanpa Tuhan,
ongoing
tanpa
work
berkat
to
dan
bring
bimbingan dan
peace and
proteksinya.
harmony to
Saya
our
ingin
world.
mengakhiri
I want to congratulate and thank the late
terima kasih kepada
Father,
UPF untuk
Son,
upaya yang tidak yang berlanjut
and Mother
untuk
Moon,
membawa perdamaian dan
who is
keharmonisan
now
dan
leading
juga
the movement
memberikan
so admirably.
selamat
I
kepada Father
thank
Moon,
them for
Tangnya
their
Moon dan juga Ibu
tireless
Moon
work to
dan
bring the
membawa
message of
gerakan ini
interdependence,
semakin
mutual
dikagumi.
prosperity, and
Dan saya
universal
untuk
value
menutupi ini
to the
saya berdoa
nation
untuk
of this
mendorong kita
world.
semua agar kita bisa
In
melalui
closing, I
pandemi
would
ini
like
dengan
to
cepat,
pray
secepatnya,
for our
dan dengan kesalehan kita bisa
encourage
bersama-sama satu keluarga
all
di
of
dalam
us
Tuhan. Terima
that
kasih
we may be
untuk
able
perhatiannya.
to
Tuhan
pass
memberkati.
through this pandemic quickly and
Sebelum saya
energize
mengundang
wiser.
Let us first refresh ourselves with beautiful cultural performance.
Also one family under God.
mendengarkan
Thank you for your kind
penampilan
attention, and
yang akan
God bless you all.
menampilkan Universal Peace Dove Dance
Thank
dari
you, Your
Kamboja
Excellency.
yang akan
Before
menampilkan.
I invite
Kita akan menikmati
current and former first ladies and eminent women
sorry,
leaders
we have
to
Zoom,
give their
Papa.
keynote
Call me
addresses.
later.
Since
Call me
Let us
Cambodia
first
had been
refresh
going through
ourselves
long
with
decades of
beautiful
warfare
cultural
and destruction,
performance.
the Vaidov
First,
dance
I would like to
has often
introduce
been performed as a symbol of peace.
Dove dance,
tarian Dove.
a traditional
Tarian Dove
cultural performance
merupakan simbol
from the
dari
kingdom
perdamaian,
of
sebagaimana
Cambodia.
Kamboja juga telah melalui
Please
beberapa
enjoy.
periode, beberapa era, mana mengalami penderitaan.
Pripsaw or Vaidov is a symbol of peace. Since Cambodia had been going through long decades of warfare and destruction, the Vaidov dance has often been performed as a symbol of peace. The text appeals to our human races to bring peace to Cambodia and indeed the world.
ព្រៀបហើយព្រៀបព្រៀបសក្នុងនាមកសាងសន្តិភាពប្រជាជនក្រុមសញ្ជាតិស្នេហាសន្តិភាពទាំងសាកលខំកសាងសង្គមប្រសើរឧត្តមជួយមកផ្ដល់ខិតខំខ្វាយខ្វល់ដល់សាងសន្តិភាព ព្រៀបហើយព្រៀបសន្តិភាពចូលសំសាយដូចជាខ្យល់តែងបំបោកបញ្ហាសកលកុំឲ្យយើងសង្គ្រាមឡើយអត់ចាងក្តីទុកសូមឲ្យបានសុខបានឡែលហើយសូមឲ្យបានដល់ត្រាយសង្គមសន្តិភាពព្រៀបហើយព្រៀបសន្តិភាពចូលសំសាយដូចជាខ្យល់តែងបំបោកបញ្ហាសកលកុំឲ្យយើងសង្គ្រាមឡើយអត់ចាងក្តីទុកសូមឲ្យបានសុខបានឡែលហើយ
Wow, what a beautiful performance.
Sungguh sebuah penampilan yang sangat indah. Terima kasih banyak. Berikut mari kita sambut
Popular singer from the
sang
Republic of
penyanyi yang populer dari Filipina.
Jervin Flores to present a special.
Dia adalah seorang wanita keturunan Filipina Jerman,
Wow,
penyanyi klasik.
what a beautiful
Mari kita sambut
performance.
Jervin Flores.
Thank you very much. Next, let us welcome a Filipino German classical crossover popular singer from the Republic of the Philippines, Miss Jervin Flores, to present a special song.
A
pleasant afternoon, Your Excellencies,
apapun latar
Madame
belakang kita,
First Ladies,
agama, latar belakang
distinguished ladies and gentlemen
adalah
from
satu
all
keluarga.
over the world. It is an honor to be
Kita
part
berjalan
of
secara
this
lain untuk
momentous event,
mengalahkan krisis ini,
the
tapi
Asia
bersama-sama
Pacific ISCP
sebagai
Virtual
satu.
Summit,
Dalam
hosted
pertemuan
by
ini
the
kita
Universal Peace
menyerukan
Federation.
solidaritas bahwa
We are
perdamaian
all
itu
at a
sebuah
critical juncture of
keharusan
mankind,
dan ini harapan
a
bagi kita
transformative
untuk
moment
esok
for
yang
the
hari
world,
esok yang baik.
when we
Dari
realize that regardless of
bagaimana
our
I
race,
believe
religion, and backgrounds, we are all one family, and that there is no other way to defeat this crisis but together as one. Today in this gathering, we call for solidarity, peace in the hearts of men, and hope for a better tomorrow. Today I will be singing a song entitled
One day I'll hear the laugh of children in a world where war has been banned. One day I'll see men of all colors sharing words of love and devotion. Stand up and feel the Holy Spirit. Find the power of your faith. Open your heart to those who need you. In the name of love and devotion.
lagu yang sangat mengagumkan. Terima kasih Miss Jennifer Flores. Sekarang kita mendengarkan dari para pemimpin wanita dari seluruh dunia.
Respected women.
Jadi sesi yang khusus ini diorganisir oleh Asosiasi Internasional untuk Ibu Negara bagi Perdamaian AFLP dalam koordinasi dengan Federasi Wanita untuk Perdamaian Dunia WFWP atau WFWP. Sama kita sambut Ibu Nyonya Rachel Marape, Ibu Negara dari negara Merdeka Papua New Guinea.
Is organized by the International Association of First Ladies for Peace, IAFLP, in coordination with Women's
bersama Anda
Federation
semua di
for
Palau,
Peace,
rasanya seperti baru kemarin.
WFWP.
Sangat
First,
mata untuk
let
melihat
us welcome Madam
betapa berbedanya dan beragamnya
Rachel
kita sebagai warga
Marape,
global,
the First
tapi
Lady
dengan tujuan
from the
bersama, yaitu
independent state
perdamaian
of Papua
Papua.
New Guinea, to
Ini juga
deliver
merupakan
her
semangat
keynote
besar
address.
bagi kita masing-masing untuk menunjukkan minat bangsa kita dan bekerja sama dalam saling pengertian. Masalah telah diatasi dan semua orang di rumah telah belajar. Perkembangan lokal dan kemajuan ekonomi lambat. Upaya kemitraan kami juga, kita juga telah ditempatkan dalam lingkungan yang melengkung para pemimpin wanita yang lebih baik. Para pemimpin wanita yang kuat juga telah mengambil tanggung jawab untuk menginspirasi dan memimpin orang-orang kita ke masa depan yang lebih baik. Sekaranglah saatnya untuk menjadi inovatif dan mencari solusi untuk negara kita.
600 small but has a strong female
600 pulau-pulau kecil. Pemerintah kita telah mengalami kemajuan. Kami bekerja membantu saudara-saudara kita di Asia Pasifik. Saat saya berbicara sekarang, kami juga berterima kasih kepada Tuhan kami yang baik Papua Gini karena kami tidak selalu didukung oleh kehancuran pandemi COVID-19. Tetapi simpati dan belas kasih kami yang tulus juga kepada mereka yang menderita saat ini. Ketahuilah bahwa orang-orang Papua Gini semua negara Kristen di Pulau Pasifik berdoa untuk Anda semua. Kami adalah orang-orang yang sudah hati dan sangat percaya kepada Tuhan yang Maha Kuasa. Kita belajar bahwa COVID-19 adalah musuh yang tidak diketahui oleh kita, tetapi telah memberi kita kesempatan menyalakan kembali dan mengatur kembali kebutuhan kita sebagai manusia. Kita sekarang melihat lebih dari sebelumnya nilai keluarga dan teman. Bagian besar dari kita berinvestasi lebih banyak dalam merenungkan nilai-nilai dengan membantu bahkan ibu dan anak-anak. Untuk pandemi COVID-19, dapat kita materi yang baik yang traumatis sedang dilakukan.
My advocacy focuses on the vulnerable mothers and children. Even before the pandemic of COVID-19, they have been the most affected ones in Papua New Guinea. Our struggle to lower our mortality rate and the survival of
Pergumulan kami
family
untuk
nurturing.
memperlambat tingkat kematian dan kelangsungan hidup bayi dan sudah.
And yes, we are.
Dan ya, dan benar kami berjuang melawan
Mothers and children.
berkelompok
Even before the
HIV, AIDS,
domestic violence,
kekerasan dalam rumah
they have
tangga,
been the most. But we as a nation acknowledge the importance.
dan
Our struggle to
penyalahgunaan alkohol.
lower our
Kita
mortality
sebagai
rate
bangsa mengakui
and the
pentingnya
survival
kemitraan
of
internasional kita
premature
dengan
babies,
PBB.
especially the UNICEF. Women leaders.
Khususnya
And
UNICEF.
yes, we
Para
are
pemimpin kita tidak berpuas diri
the
di
TV,
tengah tantangan pandemi global sebagai contoh.
like the Women's Federal
Harap
World
organisasi seperti
Domestic
Federal
Violence
Perempuan untuk Perdamaian ini
establish the Pacific
telah
But we
menerapkan
as a
metode yang
nation
mungkin
acknowledge the
membantu
importance
PRG.
of
Program
our strong
seperti itu
international
telah melengkapi usaha kecil menengah pemerintah kita.
WHO and especially the UN. In support, women leaders are not complacent.
realisasi tujuan pembangunan berkelanjutan PBB tahun 2020.
Domestically, we are
Dalam
focused
negeri,
on Women's
kami telah
Federal
fokus
for
pada
World
tujuan
Peace.
mengurangi
Papua New Guinea
kemiskinan
has independently established the Pacific
dalam segala
Microcredit
bentuk,
PNG.
meningkatkan
Programs
gizi
as
dan
such
mempromosikan
will complement
pertanian
and achieve
dan
our
menunjukkan
government's
pendidikan
goal
berkualitas
for medium enterprise
yang
and
inklusif
policy
dan
objectives.
berkelanjutan,
This equality and empower
serta
women and
kesetaraan
girls,
gender,
promote
memberdayakan
inclusive and sustainable
perempuan,
societies, and finally promote women and girls in agriculture programs. COVID-19 is undeniably clearly challenging humanity's capability, strength, and faith. It will reshape our world and the test of time. We will survive and retrain COVID-19 and work harder to build a better world for the next generation. We are more awake to what we truly want to deliver: health, well-being, and dignity for all. What we need now more than ever is family prosperity, national unity, global solidarity, and reinforced faith to get us through. I believe and fervently pray that humanity will prevail. I challenge you all to continue to be effective leaders of peace, hope, and unity. And what can be more encouraging and knowing that is we are all in this together. Thank you and God bless you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Next, let us welcome Madam Siranti Rajapaksa, the spouse of Honorable Prime Minister of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, to deliver her keynote address.
Mr. Chairman, first of all, I thank the Universal Peace Federation and International Summit Council for Peace
Thank you, Your Excellency.
for the invitation to speak at Women's Leaders Summit webinar. I also congratulate the founder of the Universal Peace Federation for taking the initiatives to establish International Association for Peace. This noble steps has shown that Mother Moon has recognized the unique role of women in all walks of life and provided a forum to discuss various issues for a women's way of thinking. We all know the world is difficult. Crossroads heads the movement. This global COVID-19 pandemic has been threat to humankind beyond social and geographical boundaries. Unfortunately, women are all receiving end of more blows for pandemic. One of the common characteristics of most crises is that they hit the most weak populations, and hardest among the women are unequally represented. While women and girls are hard to hit by the correct pandemic, they have also proven to be the front runners in the war against the same. From taking care of the family during home quarantine, to serving the healthcare workers, to providing effective leadership as heads of states. The diverse role of women and their contribution to the society at the time of this ordeal are truly awe-inspiring. Women may be the hardest hit by this pandemic, but they will also be in the backbone of recovery in communities. So, when we think about the bouncing back from the current COVID-19 crisis and driving our nation forward into a path of economic prosperity, it is important that we put women and girls at the center of the economics. I think this approach will fundamentally drive better and more sustainable development outcomes for all, support a more rapid recovery, and place us back on the footing to achieve sustainable development goals. Women are the symbol of all universal virtues of human beings: love, kindness, and compassion. Therefore, the topic of this summit webinar is very well fitting with core values and beliefs that they share as a woman. Mother Moon, too, is a woman and has not only been leading a large organization gracefully but also empowering women by providing them opportunities and platforms to make their voices heard. Empowering women means empowering families, communities, and nations as a whole. I believe that the goal of rebuilding and renewing our nations after a COVID-19 can be achieved by taking the necessary steps to ensure that women's role in the society are made stronger during the recovery phase. I am really thankful to Father and Mother Moon and the Universal Peace Federation for their constant efforts as they put their heart and wishes to renew this world, equipped with their new ideals of mutual prosperity and universal shared values together with strong marriage and families and interfaith harmony. If the world recognized their breathless effects in realizing the peaceful world and new leadership that they have shown to the world, there is no doubt this world would become better dwelling place of humanity where they live in harmony. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Next, let us welcome Madam Dian Mendiola Tedula Torres, the First Lady from the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Island, CNMI, to deliver her keynote address.
Hafaday and Tito from the Northern Mariana Islands. These are uncertain times filled with unprecedented challenges. The coronavirus pandemic, which causes the disease COVID-19, has taken countless valuable lives and has tested our spirit in ways unimaginable. The pandemic demands that we make necessary changes in our lives to curb the spread of the coronavirus and to prevent the death of thousands more. As we pray for all lives lost throughout the world, we must also continue to fight against this plague. The demands on us may be daunting, but it must be done for all our sake. My husband, Governor Ralph Torres, and Lieutenant Governor Arnold Palacios have gathered the best minds in the CNMI from all areas of government and private sector leadership to develop strategies that would best tackle COVID-19 related challenges and have begun to prepare for what may be ahead in the coming months. We are grateful for our leadership, our partnership of our country, for a number of reinforcements, namely the benefits accorded to our people through the CARES Act. There is great admiration in the way our Tautotano, the people of the Marianas, have approached the current crisis, and we would not have done tremendously if it were not for their patience, understanding, and cooperation. We will continue to ask this of our people until experts are able to find a suitable vaccine or a viable solution as a way out of this ordeal. We also hope that we could continue to nurture partnerships with neighboring territories and countries as we turn our focus towards the phased reopening of our great Commonwealth. The reopening of the CNMI is an essential move to secure the economic viability of our islands. We need to bring back jobs so that families could continue to put food on their tables and roofs over their head. We need to find ways to ensure the delivery of education to our children, whether in classrooms or virtually. We need to secure the best of our public hospitals and other healthcare facilities, public safety, and general social welfare programs. We need these basic functions for the stability and protection for our people. However, to make all this possible, we need an economy. The success of our efforts to rebuild our economy and the economies of the world can only be achieved by a holistic approach. We have too much to lose to remain complacent. We cannot allow this pandemic to continue to sink our world in deeper turmoil. We need to work together to prevent this from happening. This global crisis should also remind us to hold steady the values we have held dear in our hearts that have kept peace in this world. It should be an opportunity to support initiatives that aim on finding ways to end global conflict and adversity arising out of social, economic, governmental, and political differences. If this pandemic could teach us one thing, it would be that we are all human. We all have the desire to live in a just, free, and peaceful world. You do not inherit peace. You have to work for it, and it will always be a work in progress. I would like to thank the Universal Peace Federation for the opportunity to take part in this summit and for playing a critical role in helping to keep the peace on a global scale and for continuing to build a network of peace builders. Each and every one of you makes this world a better place. Stay safe, everyone. Godspeed. And on behalf of the people of the Northern Mariana Islands, I would like to invite you to our island chains, and we look forward to greeting you with our warm Hafaday and Tito. Sizuz Maasi, Giliso, and thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Next, let us welcome Madam Adi Koila Mara Naila Tikau, the First Lady from the Republic of Fiji from 2009 to 2015 to deliver her keynote address.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Your
As the
Excellency.
world shut down around us, we were forced to reflect and reassess on what is truly important to us. The pause button on the world economy came at a huge cost and a greater loss of human life all over the world. In these times of uncertainty, I found it important to truly honor this time and the lives that have been lost by counting the blessings we have and the opportunities in the forced change of lifestyle. The Bible in Hebrews chapter 11 reminds us that faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. And I truly believe that those two virtues of faith and hope are most important in these uncertain times. Two very simple values they are, but with huge impacts when they are embraced. The belief in ourselves and in better times to come is more powerful to the human spirit than anything and is something we should always hold on to in these testing times. In our Pacific Island nations, especially Fiji, the pandemic has brought unprecedented widespread financial and economic pain. However, a defining feature of the economic shock for us has been the strength of the indigenous Fijian community's reactions and the way of Velomani, the act of loving and caring for one another. This is a throwback to the spiritual harmony of our ancestors and a reminder of the interconnectedness of us with the environment. In Fiji, the ocean and the land is interwoven with our cultural identity. Our ancestors' relationship with the environment was a spiritual one with mutual respect and understanding that one cannot survive without the other. Because of this understanding, this indigenous intelligence, our ancestors ensured protocols that allowed our environment to replenish after we harvested, and that we only ever took what was needed. It was a very harmonious and sustainable way of life. During this pandemic, the economic and financial strains have forced Fijians back to their lands to recall this indigenous intelligence, to sustain us and to look closer to home for local, fresh, and more nutritious alternatives for our sustenance and our well-being. As much of our land is clan-owned, this has brought about a resurgence in family ties and communal thinking, putting the needs of the community above the one, and ensuring that everyone has what they need to survive. With schools and workplaces having been closed for the last few months and being restricted to curfews and having to remain in our homes with our loved ones, has reminded us of the importance of family. This has fortified parental and child engagement in these times, something that had gone amiss as the world rapidly developed around us. Moreover, being able to band together has reminded us of what is really important to us. With a return to our indigenous knowledge, we are reminded of the fight against climate change and the need to restore, protect, and manage coastal and marine ecosystems for our own benefits and survival. Additionally, the protection of indigenous peoples and indigenous identities all over the world has been brought to the forefront during this pandemic break, reminding us that we are one human family, and to truly move forward, we must do so together to be able to truly achieve mutual prosperity. In our Pacific, we remember that we descend from a people that had the greatest migration of all times, and our forefathers did that as a group, as one people, and then went on to conquer an unknown and uncharted territory. Therefore, we know that it is ingrained in our biological makeup that the need of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the individual. The strength of the human spirit to share and care and look after one another after the many at this time has become the base for resilience across all communities, and what I truly believe will carry us through this pandemic and whatever should come after. On that note, I wish each and every one of you listening in today that we are one human family on one planet Earth. We must strive to do what is best for us and the environment that supports us. Moving forward together will guarantee that we go further and achieve more than doing so alone. Remember the blessings and lessons in these times and embrace the opportunities that lie within. May God bless you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Next, let us welcome Honorable Sujata Koirala, a leader of the Nepali Congress Party, Deputy Prime Minister of Nepal from 2009 to 2011, as well as a current Member of Parliament and Vice Chairperson of the ICAP Women Wing, to deliver her keynote address. Thank you, Your Excellency. Next, let us welcome
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Namaste. It is an honor to be given the chance to speak in front of such a distinguished audience. I would like to thank the International Summit Council for Peace for preparing a platform for discourse, especially at this critical time. I would like to acknowledge Universal Peace Federation for its worldwide humanitarian work, helping marginalized sectors and empowering women and children, paving the way for world peace. I am certain that the summit webinar will bring forth various ideas and concepts that will help us in achieving our common objectives. As we are all aware, the COVID-19 pandemic has made a significant impact on healthcare, the economy, and society. Nepal has been working hard in order to protect its citizens, and although the number of infections is rising, so far the mortality rate is significantly low, and I would like to take a moment to remember and appreciate the contributions of everyone involved in the fight against this pandemic, including law-abiding citizens, security personnel, government authorities, and especially the healthcare workers. The number of infections is rising. So far, the mortality rate is significantly low, and I would like to take a moment that have been at the contributions of everyone involved in the front of this war and proven themselves to be all their safety and good health. It is important to recognize that some sectors of the society are more vulnerable than others. This includes those who are impoverished, senior citizens, and women and children. There have been reported cases of domestic violence, sexual abuse, and poorly managed quarantine facilities, and I urge the government of Nepal to up its efforts in addressing these serious issues. Women play a crucial role in our families as well as in our society, and the societal impacts of the pandemic is worrisome. Aside from this, a big percentage of health workers are women, which places them in the front lines. Although this is the state of women amidst the pandemic, women have not neglected their roles in the society and are still showing resilience. The current crisis exposed the vulnerabilities and fragilities of the world we have created for ourselves. And this exposure should awaken our senses and inspire us to build a stronger, more robust world that will be able to provide us better security and protection against any similar crisis in the future. A world of such caliber can be built only if we unite together and share love and compassion for each other regardless of our gender, age, class, race and religion. As the saying goes, united we stand, divided we fall. We need to strive for unity and collaboration in all spheres of life. It is through interdependence, mutual collaboration, and peaceful coexistence that we will be able to rebuild our nations after the COVID-19 crisis and drive it forward to the path of united we stand, divided mutual prosperity for all. On the bright side, the COVID-19 crisis also highlighted the capabilities and strengths of women. Women across the globe proved that they can successfully lead through any situations if given the opportunities. The teachings and philosophies of UPF have stood the test of time and will continue to be relevant and pertinent for generations to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency.
Proved that they can successfully lead through any situations if given the opportunities.
Finally,
the teachings
I would
and
like to
philosophies
introduce
of
Dr.
UPF
Robert S.
have
Kittel,
stood the test
Asia
of time
Pacific
and will
Coordinator of the
continue to be
International Association of Media
relevant
for Peace,
and
IMAP, as well
pertinent
as
for
International
generations
Chair
to
of
come.
IAOSP, to
Thank
give
you.
summary remarks. Dr. Kittel, please. Thank you, Your Excellency.
His Excellency Pramananda Jha, the chair of
Finally,
this amazing
I would like
session,
to introduce
and also the
Robert
chair
S.
of the
Kittel,
ISCP in
Asia
the Asia
Pacific
Pacific
Coordinator of
region.
the International
Your
Association of
Excellencies,
Media for Peace,
Madam
IMAP,
First ladies, panelists, ladies and gentlemen. This has been an extraordinary event in so many ways. It is no understatement to say that this has been a rich and rewarding program. The one theme that came over and over again from the panelists, yearning for peace, yearning for cooperation with people, with nature, and a bright future. In closing, I would like to express UPF's deepest gratitude to the distinguished speakers. You gave us your time, you gave us your wisdom, you shared your insights on how we can move forward in a post-COVID-19 world. But you also gave us something even more important, more precious and more valuable than that. By participating in this virtual summit, you actually gave us one of your most precious possessions. This is your reputation. When we put your name and title on the program, people were interested to attend. And as we heard from our moderator, Honorable Eknath Paul, thousands of people in this region and around the world came to listen to you. You spent your entire lives building your CV or curriculum vitae and your biodata. And you gave that to us by attending this virtual summit. We are so grateful. So this means we means the Universal Peace Federation, are actually more indebted to you because of this summit. We can say thank you, but these words seem so shallow compared to the gratitude in our heart. Why? Together, we are building something very special, something that we could not build unless we were together. If we were alone, we couldn't do that. We each have our religious way, and we should maintain that. And yet somehow we have transcended the doctrines and theologies that so often divide us. We are proud patriots of our nation, and we should be. But we have transcended nationality by interacting together on this global stage. We are members of various ethnicities, but we are moved beyond race, becoming, in one sense, colorblind as we only worry about the character of our hearts and the future of our children. Together, we are building a global family, which has the same values as our own families. These are the universal values that we talk about in the theme, interdependence, mutual prosperity, and universal values. Together with Mother Moon's inspiration, guidance, and love, or we can use another word, a synonym for love, sacrifice. We are building a global movement, a sacred, almost holy, virtuous global community that has the same values of family that we cherish and want in our own families. Together, we are learning to live for the sake of others and how important that is. This is by definition what it means to be good. I will close by asking the blessing of heaven on you, your family, and your nation. I look forward to meeting you again Sunday, August 9th at the Rally of Hope. Mother Moon will be there this time. Please mark it on your calendar. Thank you very much. We are learning to live for the sake of others and how important.
Thank you, Dr. Robert S. Kittle, for presenting
I will close
precise
by
summary.
asking the blessing of heaven.
Finally, we have come to the conclusion of this virtual summit. Thank you very much to our respected keynote speakers, panelists, participants, and to the organizing committee for your valuable contribution for the success of this virtual summit. Please visit our website upf.org for the official report. Also, I'd like to announce that today's webinar is being recorded and the video will be available later today on our webpage at www.upfsasia.org and also on Facebook page UPF Talks Webinar. May I also to invite you all to join us again online in a worldwide event called the Reality of Hope that will happen on August 9, 2020. This officially concludes the ISCP Asia Pacific Virtual Summit. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you very much. Namaste. Also to invite you all to join us again online in a worldwide event called the Reality of Hope that will happen on August 9,
Thank you.
2020. This officially concludes the ISCP Asia Pacific Virtual Summit. Congratulations to all of you. Thank you very much. Namaste.
Thank you, Honorable Eknath.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Vice President, and also Dr. Yong, Dr. Kitel, especially our technical team from Philippines, from Nepal, our translators.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Yong.
Thank you, Honorable Eknath.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Vice President, and also Dr. Yong, Dr. Kitel, especially our technical team from Philippines, from Nepal, our translators.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Youth, an adventure full of hope and passion. Endless possibilities to achieve our dreams. Where your dreams begin, youth and students for peace. Join us on this adventure. In the 20th century, the age of material civilization, science and technology's swift advancement allowed extreme individualism to run rampant. Pornography, violence, free sex, and drugs dismantled the family. Youth were thrust into a cold and dark world. In the 21st century, we need a balanced approach. More public-mindedness, less destruction and division. In 2015, the UN set 17 Sustainable Development Goals and is calling for global participation. What then is the key to harmonious and sustainable development? In 1976, Mohammad Yunus, a Nobel Peace Prize laureate from Bangladesh, developed the concept of microfinance. Microfinance has produced sustainable results. The concept has spread to 140 nations globally to alleviate poverty by providing loans to small social units and teaching collective responsibility. Before this, Dr. Sun Myung Moon and Dr. Hak Ja Han Moon applied this concept in their quest for world peace. They advocated the smallest unit, the family, is where world peace and happiness begins. The family is where we first learn to live for the sake of others. We are calling this concept micro-peace.
Peace begins in the family, specifically in the relationship of parents loving their children unconditionally and children developing the heart of filial love toward their parents. Brought into society, this principle of living for others creates good character in citizens, patriots in nations, and saints in the world. But it all begins in the family.
The greatest peace sprouting from the smallest unit. One human family under God. In 2005, Father and Mother Moon launched UPF with a world tour emphasizing a new vision of peace. Night after night, city after city, visiting one nation per day, they taught that the family is not only the school of love, it is also the cornerstone of world peace. Beginning with the establishment of the Collegiate Association for the Research of the Principle in 1966, the many institutions they have founded convey a vision of peace and teach universal principles that strengthen marriage and the family.
When I was young, I took the Pure Love Pledge and it changed my life. From that day onwards, I was able to build my character and moral values. For the happiness and future of my students, I'm continuing teaching Pure Love education at my school.
Father and Mother Moon have established more than 50 educational institutions around the world. MOUs have been signed and character education has been taught in thousands of schools on all continents and in all cultural spheres, East and West. After Father Moon passed away, Mother Moon carried out his intentions and established the Wonno Pyongne Scholarship Foundation, which supports the education of youth and students globally. The Sanok Peace Prize honors and supports heroes who are creating a culture of sustainable peace and are role models for future generations to look back on. On February 23, 2017, Mother Moon, the first international chairwoman of the Women's Federation of World Peace, launched Youth and Students for Peace.
위하여 사는 참 사랑을 실천하는, 나눠줘도 더 부족함을 느끼고 더 나눠주고 싶고, 이런 마음 자세, 이런 환경을 만들어 가야 하는 너희들 앞에 책임이 있다.
With the support of Women's Federation for World Peace and the Universal Peace Federation, YSP is a rapidly growing global network of game changers.
เยาวชนและนักเรียนแห่งสันติภาพคือความหวังและอนาคตของโลก โดยผ่านความรักที่บริสุทธิ์และความกตัญญูจะเป็นจุดเริ่มต้นแห่งความสุขและสันติภาพโลก
एउटा असल परिवार, समाज, समृद्ध राष्ट्र निर्माणको लागि युवा विद्यार्थी अवस्थाबाट नै सकारात्मक विचार, उच्च भलाइ, साँचो प्रेमको अभ्यास गर्न आवश्यक छ।
À travers la Fédération des jeunes et des étudiants pour la paix, je travaillerai afin d'accomplir de grands rêves.
Youth and Students for Peace, YSP, builds on the past and opens doors of hope for the young generation through academics, service, sports, international exchanges, universal character education, environmental responsibility, among other things. In Asia, Africa, Korea, Japan, the US, Central and South America, Europe and Oceania, YSP is becoming a wave of goodness sweeping the world today. The idea of one family under God is taking root and growing in the hearts of people, young and old alike. Be a part of this global awakening. Let's create a new future working together. We can do it.
Okay, start பண்ணலாம். In the name of Allah, the most gracious and most merciful, I welcome Mrs. Atya Bansal for the second day of the FDP program and all the participants for the second day. We were really overwhelmed by the number of viewers that we had till now. It is 11,221. Thank you very much, participants. You really made it. And I also thank Madam Atya Bansal for the very catchy topic that she had opted for taking for these 3 days for the faculty development program. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. Over to Mrs. Atya Bansal.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, maliki yawmiddin, iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in, ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim, sirata alladhina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin, ameen. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. So, dear all, assalamu alaikum, good afternoon, vanakkam, and namaskar. Wait a minute. Yeah. So here we are on the second day of 21st century teaching skills. And today, how we'll go about, I want to give you the outline first. We'll look at what is critical thinking and then uses of critical thinking. We'll also look at how to teach critical thinking skills. Then we'll look at teaching social skills, which is extremely important, especially in 21st century. What is metacognition and teaching metacognition? So, but before we go further, let us have a little recap. Yesterday, we looked at 3 tools. One was this one, 3 domains of learning, that is psychomotor, cognitive, and affective. We also looked at this pyramid, 6 domains of Bloom's taxonomy, and we looked at higher order thinking skills. We also covered 21st century skills, and then we applied all that into preparing learning tasks. Now my question is, I gave you an acronym to remember all these 6. Does anyone remember what was that acronym? What was the acronym? To remember all these 6 domains in Bloom's taxonomy so that we can remember the higher order thinking skills when we are preparing learning tasks. Does anyone remember? Out of 11,000 people, somebody should tell me what do you remember? No answer?
Still no answer.
No answer, no answer.
They are just getting inside now.
Okay, I'll wait. I'll make up for it later. Yeah, let them settle down.
Yeah, they are given a reply saying RUAPANEC.
That is fantastic. Ruapanek. That is what I said. If we remember this one word, we don't need to, think all the time what, the top ones are higher order thinking skills, as we have seen yesterday. Any question about yesterday? If there is one, I can take it right now before we go further. Any question?
There was one question about the concept of inclusive education. The concept of inclusive education will not hamper the learning ability of the gifted child. Will a child with ADHD not suffer?
Oh my God. I would love to answer that question, but unfortunately, I am not trained in special education. And that is something a special education trained teacher would answer better. So I would rather refrain from giving my half-baked thoughts there. Is that okay?
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah. So let us see. Today we look at tool number 4, which is critical thinking. Now, critical thinking actually comes from these higher order thinking skills. These are taken into, and what happens in critical thinking is let us first see why do we need it. And I'll go through these 6 points. Critical thinking is the ability to think clearly and rationally about what to do or what to believe. In simple words, critical thinking is our ability to make a clear, informed, and independent decision. Independent here means nobody should force you to accept this decision. You decided as an individual that this is what I want to decide. Decision should be yours. And that decision should be made only after considering all available evidence. So critical thinking is actually a combination of higher order thinking skills. For example, analyzing, evaluating, and in between you see reasoning, to solve problems and to make decisions. But only these 3 are not there. There are many more. Other cognitive skills like observing, interpreting, explaining, interfering, etc. are used in analyzing, reasoning, evaluating, problem solving, and decision making. So to make one decision, we need all kinds of thinking skills, higher order thinking skills. Critical thinking is the ability to objectively and honestly examine various pieces of information before making an important decision. So critical thinking is not about accumulating information. This is extremely important. Critical thinking is not about accumulating information. Now let us see at this one. For example, you want to make a decision and you analyzed everything, you thought about the reasons, you solved the problem, you evaluated your decision, you made a decision. But after making decision, if you look at it, you again evaluate, and you find new information, you again go in the same cycle. This is why it is always put in circles. Like one decision you have made is fine, but when you evaluate your decision, you come across new information, you again go through the same cycle and make next decision. Okay. There is a question here. We'll take it later because it is not exactly connected with critical thinking. So we'll take it afterwards, inshallah. Example of critical thinking. This mother has 2 children, okay? A boy and a girl. Both suffer from serious kidney problems. So the doctor suggested kidney transplant. Now mother can donate 1 kidney to save 1 child. Whom should she try to save, son or daughter? Yeah, please type your answers so that we have some idea whom should she save. Because it is an important decision and we need critical thinking for that. So I would be happy if you give me some answer. Any answers coming?
The mother is given 2 kidneys to 2 children.
She can give 2 kidneys to 2 children, she will die. Who will look after the children then? She can only give 1. If she gives both, she will die. And children will have no mother. God knows what will they do. So make another decision. You made 1 decision. I gave you more information. Now you need to make another decision, okay?
say who has got better chances of survival.
Okay, that's a good answer.
And another one says she can donate to the child whose blood group matches her.
That doctors must have checked, otherwise this dilemma won't arise. You know that it matches because she is the mother, so there's high chance it will match. Okay, but that's a very good answer. Who has high chances of?
Another one says it should be given to the girl child.
Girl child. That was also I was looking for, because critical thinking is looking at the photo. How can we decide such a life and death situation? For that, we really need critical thinking. Looking at the photo, honestly, we cannot decide. That is the bottom line. And this answer that she should try to save the child who has better chances of survival, yes, it makes sense. And she should be considering. But my idea was to bring it to your notice that looking at the picture, we cannot decide. And that is what critical thinking is. Not to take a decision just by looking at the photo. Okay. Now we come. Yesterday I showed you this slide. 21st century skills. So we need critical thinking for this problem.
Ma'am can carry on, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
So we start where we were. We were talking about asking, making mistakes, yes. Make an atmosphere in your class, create an atmosphere where the students are not hesitant to, they don't feel bad about making mistakes, because nobody learns without making mistakes. Organize frequent open discussions in the classroom, especially during language lessons. But as I said, you can do it in all subjects. Teach students how to disagree respectfully rather than shouting or picking up a fight. This is extremely important. Without this kind of respect for dissenting opinion, we cannot develop critical thinking. Critical thinking means, yeah, I don't agree with you, but that doesn't mean I'll impose my decision on you. You have your right to have your decision according to the evidence available to you. I have a right to have a decision according to the evidence available to me. So disagreeing respectfully is extremely important here, and encourage brainstorming. Brainstorming is a good idea. Every time you are doing something, you want to find solution, or even when you ask them to write essay or composition or any assignment, use opportunity to brainstorm. That is very useful for practicing critical thinking. Any question?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So we move to the next tool, that is critical reading. Now, critical reading is the process of applying critical thinking skills to reading text for comprehension. As I told you, before, like some of these history books or social sciences books may have bias. It may be even literature. So, critical reading skills involve carefully examining and evaluating a text for facts, looking for its intended aims and intentions which are not clearly, explicitly mentioned. That means we don't only read the lines, but we also read between the lines what is not being said openly. This doesn't mean that all the texts have a bias. No. If there is no bias, then even then we read it critically so that we understand the unique perspective of the writer. Now, while reading a text critically, we understand the text at a much deeper level using elements of critical thinking and also inference, logic, and rhetoric. And here I have tried to find the 3 words for benefit of someone, because nowadays we hardly use this word rhetoric. And logic, inference, I can understand, anumanam, because it's the same in Hindi, we say anuman. Okay. Now, critical reading skills are necessary to teach media literacy, especially in the times of false news, fake news, and WhatsApp forwards. Everybody is forwarding, forwarding. So we need critical reading skills. Prepare students to live and work in 21st century so that they learn to discover information, arguments, and ideas in a text which are not explicit. And they should be able to evaluate and analyze the information, ideas, arguments for bias. So same thing, because we are applying critical thinking. So in critical reading, our aim is same, to find hidden bias and hidden intentions which are not very clear. If you look at this one, this is what is happening, but the TV camera is focused on this part. So what happens is the victim looks like the perpetrator, and perpetrator looks like a victim. That is how media can change everything. If we don't have critical thinking, let us say if I want to practice critical thinking, critical reading, when I look at this picture, I would like to say, before making a judgment, I would like to say the bigger picture, so I know what is happening. But if we don't apply critical reading or critical thinking, we may accept this as truth, which is not truth. Now, what makes this cartoon actually appeared on March 26th in a very well-respected newspaper, Hindu. And the cartoon was by Deepak Harichandran, who is again a well-respected cartoonist. But when this cartoon appeared, many people objected. They said this is Islamophobic. So can anyone tell me why this cartoon is Islamophobic? Why people objected that this is Islamophobic cartoon? Why this cartoon is considered Islamophobic? No answers so far?
No answers so far.
No?
No answers so far.
Okay. Think. We are talking about critical thinking. We also talked about not being ashamed of making a mistake. Who doesn't make a mistake? Everybody does.
They say attire or wearing a mask.
Wearing a mask.
Or attire,
attire. Yeah, the clothes.
Yeah.
And that is the correct one. Clothes.
Dressing style.
Yes, that is what. Because who wears this kind of dress in India? Who wears? Mostly Muslims. That is why it was immediately connected to Islamophobia. And moreover, this is wrong because coronavirus, Muslims didn't invent it. So why? And we'll go through just a minute. After a minute, we'll get into it. why this kind of a thing was happening. Because lack of critical thinking makes people bigots, racist, Islamophobic, anti-Semitic, anti-women, anti-black, etc. And tomorrow we'll find a solution for it. What is the solution? To help people not become Islamophobic, anti-Semitic, anti-women, anti-black, etc. Not be a racist, basically. So here, because of the clothes, the person made it look like as if the Muslims are destroying the whole world, poor whole world is, the planet is wearing a mask, and who are responsible? These two. Actually, they look so much like Taliban. And in India, because Muslims wear, so the Taliban connection connects to Muslims of India, and it becomes very dangerous. And see what happened. This was, remember the date, this was 26th March, and this is 8th April. In between, what happened in Delhi? This Tablighi Jamaat had an Ijtima, a congregation in which lots of people came from abroad also. And the news media started saying that these Tablighi Jamaat people are spreading coronavirus. And here is the person who talked about it. Then another person talked about it. People of of eminence who are talking about. And they started using a word, a phrase, single source contact. So first they used the word Tablighi Jamaat is spreading. Then it became Jamaatis are spreading. Then they said, okay, single source contact. So when they say single source contact, you go backwards and you know what do they mean. This is 8th April. Now see what happened on 13th April. 13th April, we'll go from here, down, up. This Bila Rajesh, who's Tamil Nadu Health Secretary, she was giving a briefing on coronavirus situation in Tamil Nadu. So this agency has reported what Bila Rajesh has said. And this agency, you must know, it is full form is Asian News International, and they have a huge business. Look at that. In 17 and 18, they had 68.23 crores. And it must have gone up, I'm sure, since then, because data was not available for the 1920. And ANI feeds 99% of the news, fake news or real news, that doesn't matter, to Reuters, which spreads that news across the world. Reuters is a very well-known old news company. And all this I got from Wikipedia, not from any hidden source. So that single source conduct. Here she says 106 new positive cases reported in Tamil Nadu today, of which 90% are from single source conduct. Now this is not contact, this is conduct. Total number of positive cases rises to 1075 in the state, of which 971 cases are from single source conduct. The whole phrase is repeated twice in such a small paragraph. It actually has only 2 sentences. So in every sentence they have repeated. Total 11 deaths till now, Bila Rajesh, Tamil Nadu Health Secretary said. Now next day what happened, Miss Bila Rajesh, she objected. She said she has not mentioned any single source contact. She said contact. They reported conduct. So next day they put an apology. Not apology, I'm sorry, just a correction. And this is what they put: 106 positive cases today, in which 16 have travel history and remaining 90 are their contacts, said Tamil Nadu Health Secretary Bila Rajesh. Then they said, note, reporter incorrectly quoted. They don't tell you which reporter. This is how they hide the news. If we don't have critical thinking, we'll again fall in their trap and accept it. Reporter incorrectly quoted Tamil Nadu Health Secretary. Error is regretted. On April 12, Veela Rajesh did not mention single source contact. So she did not use this phrase, single source contact, but ANI wanted to put it in her mouth, and they went from contact to conduct. When you say single source conduct, it actually makes no sense. But everybody remembers what they want to say. Instead of conduct, they want to say contact. And when you repeat conduct so twice in such a short paragraph, we remember whose conduct was bad. We were talking about Jamaat-e-Islami. So that is how they create an atmosphere where people who are not using critical thinking fall for it. So the single source conduct, in fact, becomes a euphemism. Looks harmless, but it is not harmless. The phrase is not harmless. It is very harmful because immediately afterwards, people were killed because they had attended Tablighi Jamaat congregation and they were killed. They were blamed that they are spreading coronavirus. So having critical thinking in 21st century is really, really important. It can be a matter of life and death. Researchers need critical reading skills to differentiate between facts and text, covertly written, secretly written for business purposes or propaganda. For example, I tell you, Monsanto they make pesticides. It's a US company, they make pesticides. And they write, if you go to their website, you will see they are talking about, green India, and it's not an Indian company, it's a US company. And bumper crop and all that. They don't say that they are writing it to make money from poor farmers. And that some of the pesticides are so harmful. In Kerala, if you see, in that area, Kasargod, where cashews are grown, because of those pesticides, newborn children are having genetic diseases. It can be so harmful, but they are making money and they pretend they are doing it for the good of people, which is not. Not all reading texts contain bias, which, as I told you, even then we read it critically to find the writer's unique perspective. Social skills is any question? Let's see before going to social skills.
No, ma'am, only that lady to whom you had asked a question, she has given an answer that you can see later.
I'm keeping a track of that. So we come to social skills. These are not difficult to teach. We all know we are all social beings. We are not antisocial elements. So how you can include that in your learning task? Like yesterday we had seen when the teacher is teaching about the fruit, she brings fruit and she's giving them social skills, etiquettes, how they can keep even if they are kindergarten students. Now here you see the task is very simple. Shoot a 5-minute video to promote tourism in Kilakarai. Benefit to students is they can practice a lot of skills here, including social skills. So they can practice researching, which is academic or study skill. They'll practice shooting a video, how to shoot a video. Shooting a video is a physical activity, IT skills. Editing a video, again, physical and IT skills. What time to shoot, they'll have to decide. So they'll have to get into evaluation, that is higher order thinking skills. Asking friends to help with shooting, social skills are. Nobody can do it. She can make it a group project. Or even if one person is doing alone, even then they'll need social skills. Who will shoot? What time the person will shoot? Can everything be done only by one student, or the student will need support from outside, because these are all tourist spots. There they'll have to practice social skills. Preparing a timetable, when to shoot what, they'll learn organizational skills. recording music and commentary for the video. They'll learn physical skills are involved, IT and artistic skills are involved, aesthetic is involved, checking video equipment for camera, again physical skills, taking responsibility, editing and submitting video on time, physical organizational skills, making and packing lunch for shooting days. They will learn not only organizational skills but also cooking skills. Otherwise, they'll be after their mom. Mom, you got to pack my lunch. No, it's a good time to teach them to make their own lunch. Because if we do not teach our children, the boys also need to look after themselves, do some cooking, they'll never learn. Even if they don't learn at home, at least as teachers, we must teach that boys cannot live all their lives hoping their wives and mothers to cook for them. Communication skills, being polite, persuasive when they go in the public domain to shoot tourist spots, they have to practice all these skills, social skills. Social skills of cooperation, asking for information, negotiating, compromising, etc. And critical thinking, comparing, evaluating, making decisions, which part to put in the video, because for a 5-minute video, they may shoot for 5 hours or 2 hours. So which part to take, which part not to take, they will need critical thinking skills of comparing, evaluating, making decisions, etc. So no question? Okay, I'll wait just few seconds. Let us see if there is a question. This is the easy one. And yes, we need whole lot of it if we are teaching stream or cross-curricular tasks. We need whole lot of it. Okay, so we come to metacognitive skills. Now here is a question. Which rice bag you can pick up? I mean, different people have different ability, but tell me which one can you pick up? Put your answers here, please. Any answers? Different people will have different abilities. Just put what is your ability. Can you pick up a 5-kilogram bag, 15-kilogram bag, or 25-kilogram bag?
Some say 5 kg. Some say 20. Some say 25.
Oh, very good.
Some say 15.
Okay, so different people have different ability. So that's fine. Yeah, say it, sister.
Some say they can pick up all.
Oh my God.
One says it depends upon the family size.
No, we are not talking about, see, we are talking about critical thinking, critical reading, so let us not deviate from the subject. Family size doesn't matter here. What we want is only your ability.
Another one says it depends on how much I can lift.
Yeah, so we want to know how much can you lift. That is the question. How much can you lift? That is the question.
So they just say 5, 15, 25, all.
Okay. Anybody who can pick up 25 kg can easily pick up 5 kg and 15 kg. But everybody who can pick up 5 kg may not be able to pick up 15 or 25 kg. That is the difference. So some can pick up. Now my question is, how do you know you can pick up?
Another one says it depends upon your physical fitness.
I'm not going into that, physical fitness or family size. What I want to know, can you pick up? That's all. And here you see my question and your answer are not matching. And if we practice critical thinking, critical reading, we'll fine-tune our question and answer. And once we do that, we always get better marks. So how do you know you can pick up? It is only written on paper. Nobody has asked you to pick up and see. So how do you know you can pick up this one and this one? How do you know? bags without rice, with rice only 5 kg. That's very good. How do you know you can pick it up?
They say depending on your ability or depending on your experience.
That's the word, experience, because you must have picked it up earlier.
Past experience.
We all know our ability somehow, as the answer says. From past experience, we know. This is metacognitive skill. Metacognitive skills are also known as metacognition. This is our ability to instinctively know what I can do and what I cannot do. I'll repeat again. Metacognitive skills or metacognition is our ability to instinctively know what we can do and what we cannot do. For example, you see this bird sitting here has very good metacognition. She knows she can stand here. She'll not fall. So animals, everyone has metacognition. We know what we can do, what we cannot do. Now, how can teachers develop metacognitive skills in their students? Because as I said, normally what happens is students do not learn what we ask them to learn, but they learn what they see. So rule number 1 is, if teacher has metacognitive skills, she'll somehow pass it on. For example, if she says, okay, can you do this task? The teacher asks the student, can you do this task? The student says no. Teacher says, don't try, maybe you can. Now she is building that experience. So next time such a work comes, the student will have past experience to assess whether the student can do the task or not. And metacognitive skills are also called metacognitive strategies. And these are all higher order thinking skills that involve active control over the cognitive processes involved in learning. So metacognitive, like we say, if you encourage someone, the person is ready to complete the task. But if we tell them, oh no, it's not good, we discourage, the person cannot. So metacognition, it involves active control over other thinking processes. Metacognition helps a learner in deciding the best way to learn something new, to monitor how they are learning, and in evaluating the progress towards the completion of the task, and to know if they have completed the task or not. And don't worry about all these 4, we'll soon see with an example. Metacognition is the learner's awareness of their own knowledge, if they have it or not, their ability to understand, if they have understood or not, their ability to control and use their cognitive skills. These are the things which make certain students independent, autonomous learners. Others are dependent on teachers. These are the students, they know, yes, I can do this, I cannot do this. That means I have to go and learn this thing. Let us look at it from with an example. So teaching metacognition using project-based tasks. Again, simple one, what we had talked about. Shoot a 5-minute video to promote tourism in Kilakarai. Now, how many 21st century skills are involved in completing the task? We have just talked about it. Now, how we can use this task to teach metacognitive skills? What can the teacher do is, she can give them deadlines. She or he can ask, okay, you have this project to do. Now, definitely there are more than one tourist spot. So the students have to prepare a proposal, which one they want to shoot and when and all. So they prepare a proposal and give it to the teacher. Then teacher can have a look. Now, normally teachers, it's very boring for teachers to look at everybody's proposal, which had not been seriously thought through. So what I do normally in the class, I asked them to present their proposal to the rest of the class, the whole group. And what happens is when one group is presenting, the others give feedback. So whatever I want to say that this is a problem here, this is a problem here, and you can correct it, all those answers actually come from the students themselves. And the whole project becomes a higher order thinking skill project. So proposal date, they come to the college, you ask them to present their proposal, ask others to give feedback, so this proposal can be improved, and then the students go and they make a first draft. And they submit it. See, 15 days time is there, 2 weeks, so they can write a first draft and submit it to the teacher. And teacher can have a very quick look. If it feels good, okay, let them do it. And date of submission, 31st July. By giving these deadlines, teacher has involved so much of metacognitive skills, how we can see it down here. And forgive me, it should not be 3 minutes, it was the 5 minutes, no? Now there are 6 stages in metacognition. Number 1 is planning and organizing. Here, students will make a list of all interesting historical, natural, and religious places in Kilakarai. Then they will decide which places a tourist will find interesting enough to visit. And they will divide project into subtasks and prepare a timetable to complete each subtask. Second stage is direct and manage your own learning. For this part, students will think when they work well, in what way they use it. So the student must think if they cannot, whom will they ask for help if they need? The students will learn to direct and manage their own learning. Monitor your own work. This is third part of metacognitive skills. The students will keep track of their timetable and check regularly if they are on time or getting late. So they are monitoring their own work. They will seek help if needed. They must think if they are putting their best effort or not. If they are not putting their best effort, they must put in their best effort, why they are not putting their best effort, and what is the reason. Then students should learn part of metacognitive skills to evaluate their own work. So after completing the task, the students should imagine they are the teacher and assess their own work. They must think if their method of assessment is correct or not. It is not that just because I like this, I like my work, so it is the best work. No. You must assess it and see if your method of assessment is correct or not. Think if they are satisfied with their work or they would like to put in more effort in some parts. Then fifth part is reflect and assess your work that students must learn. So they'll think what helped them in completing their work well. Think if strategies they used to complete the work were useful or not. Think if they would like to make any changes if they were asked to do a similar project again. Sixth part is modify your approach. So students must keep the work if they are satisfied. Think how they would improve the work if they are unsatisfied. And they must, very important, submit work on time or before the deadline, not after the deadline. To do this, to teach them all this, along with this, what you can do is we can add something towards the end of the project. The teacher should ask the students to reflect and assess their work and write a brief report, which will actually go for number 5. And this is how they'll have to think about everything because they have done it. The students must think what helped. She can ask them, think what helped you in completing your work well. Think if strategies you used to complete the work were useful. think if you would like to make any changes if you were asked to do similar projects again. So she can ask them to write a report. But if you are normally, writing a big report and reading a big report, both are tedious jobs. So many teachers find it useful to give a rubric like this. The teachers can ask the students to fill rubric about their experience of making the video. In group projects, ask each student to fill his or her reflection individually. It should not be a group. If there are 5 students in one group, all 5 must put it separately. So you have name, class. I found this task difficult. Which one? Planning, writing, shooting? This task was easy for me. Which task was easy? You can also add another column, others, or specify. I enjoyed. This will be the strength of the student, what they like to do, what they could do easily. I will improve. This will emphasize. The answer will be the weaknesses where they need to improve. In my next project, I will they can write down how they are going to improve their project. And this will giving them deadline plus something to write at the end of the project. This will give them ample opportunity to practice metacognitive skills. So, to teach students in the 21st century and to teach 21st century skills, the teachers must, I'm concluding, stop giving answers and ask questions. Instead of giving answers, they can ask helpful questions to direct the students to the correct answer and make it an event of discovery. Because when you ask question and the student gives the answer and arrives at the correct answer, they feel they have discovered something new, which was in their mind, but they were not able to figure it out. Encourage peer critiquing. As I said, make an atmosphere in the classroom where dissent or difference in opinion is not taken adversely. Have debates and discussions during the teaching time. Give tasks where the students need to collaborate to complete the task. They'll learn so many social skills here. Encourage a student and be part of the team and leader of the team. All those 21st century skills will come. Encourage students to teach frankly and honestly, even if it means challenging their own beliefs. There is no fun speaking which is not your thought. And become facilitators of knowledge, not deliverers of content. This is my advice to teachers. Please do not become deliverers of content. Be facilitators of knowledge. So this is it from me. Any question? Except that question, we'll take that separately here.
There's one question a person has asked. What is the best for my child?
Yeah, best for your child. You know, sister, brother. How do I know? You remember? We talked about this one.
Yeah.
Looking at the photo, we cannot decide. So similarly, how can I decide what is best? Being the parent, you are the best person to decide for your child. Trust yourself.
There's one more question. What is rubric?
Oh, rubric, when you put things like this. But I'm so happy you asked. That is really important to ask. And no question is stupid. Answers can be stupid. Questions are never stupid. When you put it like this, here they just put tick, tick, tick. That is a rubric. Here I wanted them to write longer sentences, so I left it open. If you want, you can also put it. Rubric is this thing. Any more? Any more?
Just waiting. You can go with the answer for that question. You just wait.
Okay, so you can monitor. So, but let me not. Okay, let me.
Hidden curriculum is unintended.
Yeah. Now, my point is there. This is Supraja Narasimhan's sister. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, my point is that things which people want to keep hidden, they are usually not good things. Why would you hide something? Especially when we are talking about teaching and learning. So if we want to teach, why will we not put, if it is a good thing, why will we not put it in the curriculum? Why will we try to hide it so the learner doesn't know? The hidden curriculum is usually negative. What you can do is, if you give me an example of positive, what you have found, because if you use critical thinking, you will see that it is usually hidden curriculum is negative. Yeah, but I would expect Sister Supraja Narasimhan to respond to my answer so that.
And there is one more question.
Yes.
Could you explain the reason for having the photos of 3 books?
Photos of?
3 books.
That I have shown in my slide?
Yeah, they're asking what is the reason for having it.
3 books which I had shown, I think. That is what they mean. Okay, I'll tell you. That's a good question. That's a good question. Okay, share the screen. Let me find out where they are. Here. Thank you so much for reminding me, which I forgot to mention. Yeah. Now, these 3 books, about history books I talked. You know, there can be some bias. As I told you, Indian history is, now Indian historians are writing our own history, but after 1947, much of Indian history that we read, written by Indian historians, was based on British historians who wrote from British point of view, not Indian point of view. So world history, that's what I'm saying. This book, Clash of Civilization by Samuel P. Huntington, it is very, very popular book. I don't know, now maybe it has died down, the popularity. But this is all Islamophobia, filled with Islamophobia. Because Samuel P. Huntington, he is a supporter of Israel and he wants to dispossess Palestinians. So he wrote this book blaming entire Muslims, all Muslims, that they are going to take over the world, just like those Jamaat-e-Islami we talked about. And this book by Edward Said, Orientalism, it came in 1970s sometime. Edward Said was a professor, and this book actually analyzes that these European colonizers like British, French, Dutch, even Germans and Italians, they all went to other countries and colonized it. And they tried to study those people. Like British came to India and they have written so many books about India, but they are not based on reality. That is, their hidden agenda was to promote their colonial rules so that colonized people will not stand in revolt against them. That's why I put, because it goes with the critical reading stuff. Any more?
And Supraja, she has said, agreed, ma'am. But on those days, within brackets, she has given gender bias. Illustrations were given on masculine form, like Ravi visited this village, Ram helped people, and so on. But in present text space, what are the illustrations?
Oh, sister, this is something I tell you. Like when I write a task, I'm very careful not to give all the masculine tasks to boys and all the feminine tasks to women. So, for example, if I'm writing a story, my inspector will be a woman, there'll be people of position, and because I really, really believe in equality of gender. To my son also, I taught how to cook, how to clean the bathroom. And I put it in my task also. If I'm asking a student, writing a story for comprehension, I'll make sure that I do not portray those uh, masculine characteristics which are actually very dangerous. And if those days certain girls, what is wrong in it? This is biological phenomenon. Nobody should be ashamed of it. You know, if somebody is menstruating, you are menstruating. It's like breathing, it comes on its own.
Next question is from Mr. Abdul Rahim. He's asking, how can we train the students for e-learning?
Oh, e-learning. It's a huge thing. Actually, what has happened is like here in Hong Kong, we had made some efforts already to give work on internet using Google Classroom, and many schools had actually signed up for Zoom also before they paid for it. Now with this thing, in places like India and small schools and colleges, suddenly teachers have to change from teaching face-to-face to online teaching. I mean, it's hard for teachers. What I can teach in classroom face-to-face, preparing the same material for online teaching, I need 1 or 2 days to put the things together. So how do we prepare the students? First thing is by giving them small tasks, e-learning. It is not good to ask the students to sit in front of a screen for 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours. Like even here, my screen is big that I use. But if you use only this small screen, it will destroy poor kids' eyes. So e-learning is useful. And you remember yesterday we talked about flipped classroom. It's very useful there. You can give them tasks, you go, understand about this topic and come back tomorrow in the class we'll discuss and we'll take the learning to a higher level. We'll have a debate, we'll have a discussion, we'll have a problem to solve.
And one more question. Is metacognitive different from gender to gender?
No, we all know what we can do, what we cannot do. This is a different issue that mostly girls are not so muscular. So the girl will say, no, I can't pick up 15-kilogram rice bag. But metacognition is about thinking. It's a skill of the brain. And God has given enough brain to both genders. It's not about muscles. It's about knowing what I can do, what I cannot do.
Another one is topics like human trafficking could not be given for critical thinking because even now some boys and girls find difficulty express. What can we do as a teacher?
Okay, topics like, I couldn't pick up that word.
Human trafficking.
Human trafficking. You know, one thing, I believe in total honesty. Why we cannot talk? Why we cannot talk about menstruation in the class? Why we cannot talk about human trafficking? Because the world out there is full of all this. The school is the place where we prepare our students, the school and colleges, so that they can operate in the world, real world, without falling into the traps. So human trafficking, we must talk. We must talk. Even if it is prostitution, let us talk. Honesty is the best policy. Like gender bias, if we don't talk, like sister said in her question, like they show women doing, it will be an illustration in a textbook. Woman is shown doing housework. Man is shown reading a newspaper. And to me, this is completely, it makes me angry. Why you show only father reading the newspaper and mom doing housework? Why can't father do the housework and mom read the newspaper? So go by honesty, brother. You may feel embarrassed if in your community or your school people are not so open, but believe me, first couple of times you'll feel hesitant. Otherwise, if we don't talk about this problem, how will we solve it? We cannot sweep the problem under the carpet. We have to talk about it, solve it.
Yes, ma'am, that's all with the questions. Jayashri, you can go for the vote of thanks.
A very good and graceful good afternoon to all. All is well that ends well. My most sincere thanks to our Almighty God who shower His blessing to make this program a successful one. I would like to express my thanks to our management personalities who I would like to express my gratitude to our management personalities, our president, Dr. S.K. Syed Ahmad, then engineer S.K. Huda Muhammad, O.K. Jafar, who guide and motivate us in all the positive aspects. My delighted gratitude to our principal, Dr. K. Rajab Fatima, who give her consent and provide lot of support in the team of arrangements. I would like to tell some words about Dr. Abdul Kalam. Dr. Abdul Kalam said that teaching is a noble profession that shapes the character, caliber, and future of an individual. I think these words are very odd for our speaker because this is the right time to tell my wholehearted gratitude to our speaker, Atiya Bansal, writer, teacher trainer, director of Aleph Academy, CEO of Aleph Complementary Educational Service Limited, Hong Kong, for being and sparing your valuable time with us, ma'am. Ma'am, Your gentle word and thought provoking speech is really a source of encouragement for all of us. Really, it's fantastic, ma'am. Thank you very much. Then I would like to express my thanks to all the participants who have actively participated in this program. Then I would like to extend my thanks to all the HODs, teaching and non-teaching staff, and our organizing committee who support us in all aspects. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Shall we end, ma'am?
Yes, yes, ma'am. Thank you very much. Inshallah, we'll meet tomorrow.
Inshallah, inshallah. Until then, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wanakkam and good afternoon. Take care.
Can you see the slide, ma'am?
Yeah, yeah. Mumtaz, can I start, Mumtaz?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. In the name of Allah, the most gracious and most merciful, it's my proud privilege and honor to welcome Dr. Syed Wajid, Associate Professor and Head Department of Microbiology and Director of IQSC St. Joseph's College Autonomous, Bangalore. A great academician, he has got to his credit a number of research publications in national, international journals and presented papers in national conferences. He has taken a UGC-sponsored research project during the year 2013 to 2014. He has conducted many conferences, seminars, which were organized with the help of UGC, Manipal Institute of Regenerative Medicines, and St. Joseph's College, Bangalore. He has also organized workshops related to his subject and NAC, and above all, he has acted as an external peer team member for IQSC from the academic year 2013 to 2014 and 2015 to 2016. He has delivered special lecture on various topics related to NAC in a number of colleges, especially in Tamil Nadu, namely in Aruppukkottai, Coimbatore, and even in Sadakaptulla College, Tirunelveli. I was really impressed by the way he addressed a large gathering at Coimbatore, where he spoke on the revised NAC norms and procedures organized by the Ramakrishna College of Arts and Science. Such an eminent person we have in our midst today to speak about out-based education, that is OBE, which clearly focuses and organizes everything in an educational system around what is essential for all the students to be able to do successfully at the end of their learning experiences. I owe my indebtedness to our management committee members, our president, Engineer Said Ahmad Sahib, secretary, Engineer Kuda Mohammed Sahib, and treasurer, Jafar Sadiq Sahib, for all the encouragement and support given to us in all our endeavors for the welfare of the student, staff, and college. My congratulations to the organizing committee and the IQSC coordinator, Dr. S. Sabrin Munir, and assistant coordinator, Dr. S. Anuradha, for all the support extended to me. My appreciation are also due to the staff of the Department of Computer Science, Mrs. Booma and Mrs. Mumtaj Begum, for the technical support extended to me. Once again, I welcome one and all. Thank you. Over to Dr. Syed Wajid.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your kind address, and thank you for the opportunity given. So I'll not take a lot of audience time, so I just start with the session,
Yes,
with your
thank you.
permission.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, good morning, all who are gathered and who are going to listen to this talk. So here, today's focus is going to be on outcome-based education. Before I proceed, I just want to check, am I audible to all of
Yes,
you?
yes, sir. You're audible, sir.
Okay, okay. So as I said today, I'm going to talk about outcome-based education. So what are the principles that are involved and the processes that are involved in outcome-based education? Okay. Now, before going into the topic, so what I thought, uh, let's try to look at the slide. With the new day comes new strength and new thoughts. So the days these days are not the one that we have expected in past. Okay, so the COVID has brought in a lot of uncertainty in our lives. Okay, it's required for us to pause for a while, gather all our experiences, our strengths, and all of that, and look at the present and the future with newer thoughts is what I would just say. And it's a kind of a passing phase. It would pass, but we need to be stronger, but look for the possible avenues. So this is one of the avenue that we thought of, like how to connect with people. So a lot of webinars are being conducted. So hopefully this webinar is will be of great help to you. So further, I'll just move on to what is outcome-based education. So when you say outcome-based education, as a teacher, I need to be very, very clear to the students. That is, when I say that I'm offering a set of curriculum, that is, I have designed a curriculum, or there are two things. One is if I belong to a college which is affiliated, then the curriculum is already been designed. I just have to implement the curriculum. If I belong to an autonomous college or an university, we have a little freedom in order to design a curriculum. So whether we have designed a curriculum or the curriculum was already designed, now through this outcome based education process, what we need to do is we need to assess a curriculum thoroughly and then design how are you going to deliver the curriculum. This is what we need to be doing, is we need to design the instruction. And as you design the instruction, at the same time we need to be assessing the students as in when required, if they have really understood whatever has been taught to them. So there has to be assessment. So having a clear picture of this curriculum, instruction, and assessment to ensure that there is learning happening is what is all outcome based education. So as the term says, outcome, what exactly are we trying to understand here? So we are going to assess the learning that has happened by the end of a course or a program. Okay, so we are going to define what outcomes are. As teachers, it's our job to define or design the learning outcomes. So there has to be clear learning results that we want to see in our students. Okay, how are we going to see? By their demonstrations. They need to be demonstrating themselves at various uh, pro, programs, whatever they are going to learn. So it could be in between a course, towards the end of the course, in between the program, towards the end of the program. So a lot of assessments has to be brought in place to ensure that the learning is kind of happening. So this entire outcome-based education is student-centric. Clear? So as teachers, we are very clear. This is what we want from the students. At the same time, there's a lot of say in the students. That is, they want to learn something that they are interested in. So we need to design the curriculum, the instruction, then also the assessment student centric. So as I been telling, that is, we need to design a curriculum. We need to be very, very careful when we are designing a curriculum or assess a curriculum. If in case you are affiliated colleges, then the second thing that you're going to do is the curriculum delivery. What would be the pedagogy that you're going to be using in order to effectively deliver the curriculum? So a lot of designing has to happen from your side towards curriculum delivery. The next thing that comes is assessment. You need to also design the assessment process in order to ensure that the delivery and the assessments are aligned. All these three things to be aligned. Okay, finally the outcome is that there is learning that is kind of happening. We
Excuse
want
me, you're not audible.
I'm not audible. Okay, uh, am I audible now? Hello,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
am I clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, there's some background noise is what I see, not from my side. Is it because of that?
Yes, sir, you're audible, audible.
Yeah, okay. So as I was talking about outcome-based education, it is like student-centric. We design the curriculum, we deliver the curriculum, and then we assess whatever has been learned by the students. So finally, in this exercise, we ensure that there is learning that's kind of happening. Am I clear, ma'am, now? Okay, so as I said, you design the curriculum, you deliver the curriculum, you assess the curriculum. Now, if you see that what has to be aligned here is between the curriculum design and the delivery, there has to be delivery planning. We need to plan how exactly are we going to deliver the curriculum, what is the pedagogy that you're going to be using to deliver the curriculum. That is something that the at the college level, the department, the faculty who will be handling that particular course will have to sit and plan the same. Okay, so once you have thought of the same, at the same time you need to also plan the assessments which has to be aligned with your curriculum delivery. I'm delivering the content in a particular manner, and soon after the delivery, I'm going to look at the assessment, which has to be aligned in the way the content was delivered to the students. Clear? So there has to be assessment planning as well. So you design the curriculum, you plan how you deliver the curriculum, you design the assessments, then you also plan how the assessment has to be done. Clear? And once you have done the assessment, the data that you're going to be generating, you need to try to map and check that whatever your learning outcomes, the intended learning outcomes which we have defined, so that has to be attained when we talk about it. Clear? Let's try and understand a little more. So with this slide, what I just want to tell you is like, what your students learn depends on what you teach or how you teach. So we need to be very, very careful as to what sort of content we need to be designing and what has to be delivered in order to make our students knowledgeable and skilled. So these two things we need to be emphasizing. That is, they need to be acquainted with the knowledge, and the second thing is they need to be skilled. Okay. So let's further move on to the principles that are underlying behind this outcome-based education. It was Paddy in the year 1994 through his book made it very clear as to what outcome-based education is. What is the first principle that he wants in this outcome-based education? Clarity of focus. As I said, as a teacher, I need to be very, very clear as to what is that a student by the end of the program would learn and then exit of the campus, what you call it as culminating exit outcomes. Clear? So I need to be designing that a student of this particular program by the end of the program would be knowledgeable in these, it will be skilled in these particular areas, and then he is going to be going out of the campus. So we want every student who come to the portals of any of the higher education institution would go out of the institution with knowledge and skills. So there has to be clarity from the teacher side. The second thing is designing down. So designing down, when I say there is clarity, this is what I want a student to achieve. That means with that clarity in mind, we are going to design our curriculum. We are going to design our instructions, the pedagogy. We are going to design our outcomes, learning outcomes. We are going to design the assessment. So the entire designing that we are going to do is what matters here. That is our second principle, that is the designing down. The third one is expectations, the high expectations. So as teachers, we need to have high expectations from the students. You can't keep it at a lower level where there's not much of knowledge acquainted, there's not much of skills kind of thing. So you need to increase the bar, set high standard in order to students learn the content better, the skills better. So you need to have high expectation for the students to succeed in their walk of different walks of their life. Expanded opportunities. So when I'm having high expectations from the students, at the same time, we need to also offer a lot of opportunities, a lot of platforms for the students in order for them to become skilled and knowledgeable. Okay, so we need to understand as to what sort of students are we handling. We might get variety of students. There might be slow learners, there might be mediocre ones, there would be high end learners. We need to make a demarcation, and then our content delivery, our assessment also should help all these sort of learners. So that means we need to create lot of platforms, lot of opportunities have to be given for the same. Okay, So a little more clarity on what I just spoke about. So when I say clarity of focus, as I said, we need to be very clear in order to help students to develop the required knowledge, skills, and the personality. We need to shape them as better persons and ensure that we are imparting right knowledge, correct knowledge, subject pertaining, and also overall, and also the required skills. Designing down, as I said, we need to design the curriculum, we need to design the intended outcomes, we need to design all the instructional decisions, whatever we are going to carry forward, and finally the assessment part of it. So together is what they are going to shape up themselves. The third one that I spoke about, the high standards, you need to maintain or set the bar with high challenging standards for students to perform. So the lighter you go, they might not achieve the best of the skills in them. So you need to be a little uh, careful when you kind of design these kind of standards. So what we want is, there has to be successful learning from the teacher side to ensure that there is learning happening from the student side. Okay, so it is kind of you what you give, you can expect the same from the students. You maintain very low standards. Obviously, there are going to be low level of learning, low level of skills in the students. So you try to push yourselves to give them the best. Obviously the best would come out from the students. Clear? The next thing is the expanded opportunities that I'm talking about. What are the expanded opportunities? As I said sometime back, provide all the platforms, all the resources possible in order to make the learning happening. Clear? So as I said also, not all learners can learn the same thing in the same way at the same time. So give them different pedagogical tools in order to learn things and later do it. So as these days we are with a lot of these online classes, one good opportunity the students have is like they're not necessarily that they need to understand in one go whatever I'm presenting. So once a lecture has been downloaded, you make it available again, the student, the slow learners can listen to this lecture again and again, once, twice, thrice, till the concept seeps in. So this is something a good thing. So the COVID thing has brought in a few positive things also, which we need to be embracing here, is what I would say. So these are the four principles that I just spoke about from Brady, what he has inculcated in the outcome-based education. Yeah, hope I made myself clear. Just to pause for a while and to ensure that are you all able to listen to what I'm talking? Can I get the response from one of you?
Yes, sir, very well.
Okay, thank you. So now move on to OBE process. Here I'm going to bring a terminology, what is called as constructive alignment. Okay, this was by Professor John Biggs in the year 1999. There are two players here. One is the teacher and this again is the student here. So when we talk about constructive alignment, as teachers, as management of the institution, we need to provide ideal learning environment to the students where learning activities take place so that the intended learning outcome is achieved. I repeat again, we provide the platform, a learning platform, where a lot of learning activities kind of happens. And through these learning activities, we expect that what we intend, the outcomes in the students are being achieved and students are also are going to be happy. Two things, as I said, one is constructive and second thing is alignment here. So what is this constructive? It refers here, it is refers to the meaning that the students are going to derive from whatever the teaching activities that I'm going to be presenting to the students. Clear? So I go to a class, I present certain information to them. In a lab session, I exhibit certain skills for the students to draw information out of these activities and construct that they learned this and they can make use of this skill subsequently is what construction I'm talking about. So this construction happens through the teacher by aligning what is there in the curriculum and instructing the same to the students. So when I align what is there in the curriculum to the student, students are going to construct the meaning out of it. So then this is what we call it as constructive alignment. So here both the players have to be very, very effective. The teacher in aligning the curriculum and the activities, and the student in constructing the meaning out of it. Clear? So this is what constructive alignment is. You need to get with the activities, the teaching methods, the assignments, all those has to be aligned to the learning activities, so that the intended outcomes are achieved. So we can't just design the curriculum and say that this curriculum will make the student the best in this particular skill, but we need to handhold and carry out lot of activities so that the end outcome is achieved. Okay, so now let's define the curriculum objectives and intended outcomes. There are three broad types of learning outcomes. So one is disciplinary knowledge and skill. So a program when I offer, normally those are disciplinarily specific. That is, if I'm offering a course in BSc Mathematics, that becomes kind of disciplinary knowledge or skill, which I'm going to impart through the particular program. Now, generic skills, something which is required, but it's not the core. But these are more that you could also do it. It could be kind of languages, it could be the basic communication skills. It can be any of those. So that comes under generic skills. Then also a lot of activities which the college might have planned in order to inculcate the attitude in students, the right attitude in students, the better and the best values in the students. So all these are there in a kind of a program that we kind of offer. Okay, and then you will need to design what we call it as the intended learning outcomes. Okay, so outcome, when we talk about here, there is a performer. Who's a performer? The student is a performer. The student has to perform whatever we design and we ask a student to do it. Clear? So there, and when I say the student is a performer, you need to design something for the student to perform, something for the student to demonstrate. So you need to design a lot of activities so that the students can perform those activities. So the focus should be on the performance. Okay, you have given a performance for the students, and you are going to assess as to how the student has performed. You are not going to be talking about the activity that you have designed, but you are going to ensure that the performance by the student is better. So the entire thing is going to be revolved around the student, that is the performer, who is going to perform the activity that has been designed by you and ensure that the outcome is achieved through whatever the performance that has been done. Okay, so when we design these outcomes, I still haven't come to those outcomes. I'm going to talk to you all about the outcomes. Now, before going to the outcomes, there are 7 graduation attributes that we need to be aware of. And when we design this outcome, these have to also be aligned with those outcomes. What are these 7 graduation attributes? The first one here is academic excellence. Okay, we need to ensure that through the program that we're offering, by the end, they are going to be excelling in the academic. Second, broad-based education. The education that we're going to impart should not be narrowing themselves to a particular discipline or a domain. We need to make them aware of the opportunities available across. It's not only kind of a local, it has to be state level, it has to be kind of national or international, global level. Education is what you're going to be imparting. Broad based education is what you're going to be imparting. The third is we need to instill a lot of competencies and capacity building features or attributes in the students. Okay, a lot of competency. Again, I said the local, the state, the national, and the international level competencies which students should be offering. He or she should not be confined only to the local regions. The fourth one is leadership and teamwork. Okay, so we need to instill a lot of leadership skills or attributes in a student. Teamwork, they need to know how it is when we kind of work in a team. It's like not always that I'm going to be bossy. I need to also be kind of work as a subordinate with others. As a team player, I need to contribute the best so that the team kind of wins. And then the international outlook, you need whatever skills that are there, should not be kind of obsolete. Okay, it should be in on par with the of the international standards. So you need to give an international outlook also. The sixth one here is the vision and orientation to the future. So you don't only look at present, you also look at future, because now as you see that we are facing a lot of challenges because of the COVID and all of that. So now you need to also plan for the near future, that is the vision and the orientation for the future. Okay, and the last one here is ethical standards and compassion. It's very important to design the activities where we are going to nurture the young minds to know what is right, what is wrong, to be compassionate and very connect emotionally to whatever the situations that the students would kind of come across. Okay, so these are the 7 graduation attributes which we need to keep in mind when we kind of design our learning outcomes. Okay, so now we'll move on to the outcomes. I have already spoken to you about what an outcome is. Okay, a learning outcome. So these are the uh, written statements that we're going to be writing in order to be clear to the students that these are the things that we're expecting from you, and by the end of a particular course or a program we want these sort of knowledge and the skills in you. So let's talk about these 4 things, that is the PEOs, the POs, the PSOs and the COs. Okay, so let's begin with what is a PEO. Now, it is program educational outcomes. So what are these program educational outcomes? So these are certain statements which you are going to be writing. What does it describe? It describes institution's mission aligned with the program. So a program that I'm offering, for example, for computer science or any of other program, so I need to be clear as to what is the student by the end of 3 years going to be achieving through this particular program. When I'm saying this, I'm not only saying about the program, I'm also going to be aligning this with the mission statement. Every college has their own vision, mission statement. Okay. So whatever the mission is, statement of your respective institution, you are going to align the same with the program. Okay. So this is what we call it as a program educational outcome. The second one is the program outcomes. What are these program outcomes? Again, these are statements. What does it describe? It describes what students graduating from any educational program should be able to do. Okay, so by the end of the program, 2 years program, 3 years program, what is that the student able to do is what you are going to be stating. You have program specific outcomes. Now, program specific outcomes, it is specific to an educational program. A lot of places that you come across, like I come from Karnataka, so we have triple major system. Okay, so if I say triple major, we offer programs like CBZ, where they are going to study chemistry, botany, and zoology. So when I have to write outcomes for this, I need to first write an outcome for a program which includes all these 3 core disciplines like chemistry, botany, and zoology. Now, this becomes a kind of a program outcome for course like this. When I say program specific outcome, it is going to be specific. Now I'm going to write separate program outcomes for chemistry, separate for botany, separate for zoology. So then they become specific for each of those. So together, you need to align this with the program outcome to be aligned with that of the program educational outcome. And the last one here is the course outcome. Now, course outcomes are statements that describe what students should be able to do at the end of a course. So if I say the entire program has been divided into say 6 semesters for undergraduate or 4 semesters for project for postgraduate, each of the semester there can be certain course outcomes. Okay. These course outcomes are in turn aligned with that of the program outcomes. Okay, so these course outcomes, whatever they're going to attain in every course, semester 1, there were 4 theory papers. Every paper is a course. Okay, so in each of the paper, you might have designed that this paper, this would be the course outcome. This you would have aligned it with the program outcomes. These are a little larger ones, which I'm going to tell you shortly. Clear? Hope I made myself clear with these 4 definitions of what a PEOs is, the POs, the PSOs, and the COs. Okay. Now let's look at the features of each one of them. The program educational outcome, these are broad statements. Okay. What does it describe? It describes the career and professional accomplishment that the program is preparing the graduate to achieve. Okay. As I said, this is going to be aligned with that of the mission statement of the institution. So these are very, very broad. I say this particular program, a student is able to achieve this in the career, and this is the progress accomplishment. Clear? So what are the guidelines for the POs? The POs should be consistent with the mission of the institution. We need to be careful when we are writing them. The number of POs should be manageable. Don't write too many, which is difficult for you to attain. So be very specific, okay? And you need to be very achievable. Whatever you write, it should be smart, it should be measurable, it should be achievable, it should be realistic. You know, we talk about the SMART goals, SMART. What are these SMART? It is to be specific, S for specific, M for measurable, A for achievable, R for realistic, T for timely, timely present. Okay, at COVID situation, what should be the curriculum? You know, they need to be prepared for the vulnerabilities that they're going to face. So something like that. So you need to be very, very careful when you design these guidelines. Okay. So we'll move on to the POs. That is what are POs, the program outcomes. Program outcomes are narrower statements in comparison to that of the PEOs. What does it describe again? It describes what students are expected to know to be able to do by the time of graduation. So this is something that you need to be learning so that by the end of your graduation, you're going to achieve this. What are the guidelines that we have to be careful of, okay, or be aware of? The program outcomes describes the knowledge that the students are going to acquire, the skills that they're going to acquire, and the behavior of the students as they progress through the program, as well as by the time of the graduation. This is something which we are going to write in our program outcomes. Now, program outcomes should not be too broad. Okay, they should be a little specific. They must align with the graduation attribute. So the 7 graduation attribute that I spoke about. So you need to align all of these POs with the graduation attributes. They must reflect all the graduation attributes. That means in these designing that you're doing, the writing that you're going to do, it should reflect all the 7 graduation attributes should reflect in the same. Okay. So now move on to the course outcomes. What are these course outcomes? Now, as I said, PEOs are broader. POs are less compared to that of the PEOs, but both of them come under the category of major outcomes. So these are the larger or the major outcomes. Okay. Course outcomes are micro level. So today I'm delivering a talk on outcome-based education. What is the outcome of today's? By the end of my lecture, if you have understood as to what this outcome based education, that means I have succeeded in my teaching ability to make you all understand what this outcome based education. At the same time, what was your outcome is today's lecture that I'm attending, I need to be understanding what outcome based education is all about. So both here are going to be achieving their outcomes if this lecture session is kind of effective. Okay. So course outcomes are micro level outcomes. So every course of study over a semester of they'll have around 4 to 6 outcomes. Okay. So if I'm offering a course of for 4 credits, which is say 60 hours, that means you can write down anywhere between 4 to 6, 8 outcomes for the same thing. Okay. For one course. So like that, you are going to write outcomes. Each course outcome refers to specific attainable and measurable qualities. Okay. So you can't simply write just like that. Keep in mind the curriculum that you have, and based on that, you're going to write this course outcomes. Okay. Each PO is attained by the attainment of a set of COs. Okay. So if I say semester 1, I had written certain POs. In semester 1, whatever course that I'm offering, I had given COs. See that through this course, how many POs or partly how many POs have attained. Okay. So you need to be aligning again the COs with that of the POs. To assure the attainment of POs, COs, you should carefully write them, deliver them, assess them, and evaluate them. Okay. You need to be careful in these things. I need to be careful in writing. I need to be careful in communicating or delivering it to the same thing. so that if I'm clear, it becomes easy for me to assess. This is what I have taught, and I've told you that this is how I'm going to assess. I'm assessing the same way. And then the evaluation part comes in. So evaluation becomes much easier. Okay. So how do we implement outcome-based framework in our institution? Okay. You assess the curriculum. As I said sometime back, we have faculty from colleges who are affiliated who might not be able to design the curriculum. You assess your curriculum there. Okay. Those who are have taken English as example, English program. So a graduate of this program will be able to effectively evaluate, research, design methods and conclusion is one PO. Example 2, that is the PO2. Graduate of this program will be able to assess their own strengths, weaknesses, and omissions and able to adjust future performance in light of their self-assessment. PO3, graduates of this program will be able to effectively communicate both formally and informally through speaking, writing, and listening. Clear? By looking at the course, I have written these three. When I say I, people have written these three, okay, POs. Now, later, once I've written the POs, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the COs, okay? Examples of the CO. Comprehend the technical jargon and define technical application, CO1, the course outcome 1. Course outcome 2, exhibit